On Go Live. Woo! We're live! Hello, everyone. Hold on, we're still unlisted. One sec. Now I can say it. Hello, everyone. We have returned for another coming. The second coming, if you I named that the second ECUM anniversary, so I can't do it again. This is the 78th coming, so it's not as special anymore. You people should shut me up when I start talking like that. But yeah.
No, we're letting you dig your own grave here.
Oh,
Like, this is your own doing.
you're a bad friend. Jeez. But anyway, we're here to talk about Doctor Who. Jab is a goblin who eats babies, which he didn't know when he made that his profile picture. But I think it would incentivize him to use that as his profile picture more so now if he knew. So.
Yes, that is correct.
So yeah, Doctor Who. I forgot how to stream. I always forget how to fucking stream every time because we just take a bit too long to stream between each stream, and it's always like, how do I exist as a YouTube again? Okay. I'm messing with a few things, so I'm just rambling. All right. Recommendation corner. That's a thing we do. Tin, recommend something. Woo.
This is slightly embarrassing, but unless well, the last thing I really watched was a couple of shows back in October. We've talked about them before, but because for like from November up till now, I've mostly just been watching Doctor Who. I've been a bit too Doctor Who brain for the past month or so, so I've kind of got nothing to recommend.
You can count, as long as it's not the 60th specials themselves, you can count Doctor Who Unleashed, Tales of the TARDIS and such.
And just recommend a story.
Oh yeah, story. Which one have I watched? I guess. Well, one thing I guess I'll recommend, like one that we watched a little while ago was School Reunion because I guess it's on my mind because yesterday was the 50th anniversary of The Time Warrior, which was 50 years since Sarah Jane was introduced to the show. So that's like on my mind, and yeah, it is, and especially with like what happens with Mel later in the specials, but I won't spoil that. But it just reminded me of that and how RTD like really use this to like basically bring in a legacy character before legacy characters were really a thing, and I guess like address a few things like that he still does now, even now with how the Doctors turn back and how like companions meeting would, I guess, be all finicky when they meet. Well, not anymore, but you know. And also it's just like a really good episode. I always like to look back on like the Krillitanes being like such good baddies, and like Anthony Head, who like I always think back of him as like a good villain who would have been great to like recast as like the Master or something, like especially him and Ted Lasso, where he sort of has like the classic Master beard. Like I always think of that, and I especially always think of like this like final scene where the Doctor finally says goodbye, my Sarah Jane, especially since the passing of Liz Sladen. But I guess to recommend something, I'm recommending just a Doctor Who episode. Just there's something.
Doctor Who. Jeb.
Hello.
No.
Oh.
We always do this. It's so stupid every time.
I guess it is my turn.
Yes.
I would. I've been the same actually. I haven't really been doing much, but Doctor Who, aside from my football team, which I'd recommend that anyway, watching us because we're winning. But I'm going to recommend something Doctor Who as well. I'm quite surprised that Tin didn't mention it. I was expecting her to, and that's Tales of the TARDIS. It's ah, it's essentially an omnibus of certain stories combined into one episode with an introduction scene and a exit scene with some of the key characters to that story. So, for example, you've got like Clyde and Joe Grant in a story, although Clyde wasn't central to the story. But anyway, you've got Clyde and Joe speaking about a certain story, and then you see the entire story, and then you go from there. So with like Earthshock, the reason I recommended it is because I think it's an excellent palette um, cleanser for people that kind of want to get to New Who. Sorry, Classic Who. After just having enjoyed the specials or enjoying a lot of New Who, because it gives I think it's six key stories, in a very accessible way. That gives you a lot of context around the characters, and for people who've already seen these stories, understand why they're so pivotal to the show's history or love the stories. You get those extra seeds that enrich it further, and the characters actually develop. So a good example is Clyde. In Clyde and Joe's one, you have Clyde admitting his feelings for Rani, and he gets inspired by hearing the story to act on them. And Joe obviously gets her partner back after losing him, and it doesn't contradict anything either. Because, for example, you see an older McCoy, and you're like, well, Seventh Doctor wasn't old. Well, this is a different timeline where he never regenerated, but still went through those events. And it now gives a very good reason why we can't just bring in McCoy or we can't just bring in Baker. It does have to be like a Guards to the Edge idea, even though that was a good one. Um, so yeah, I think it's very very well done, very poignant, um, very good for new and old fans, and I hope it gets like expanded upon in the future. Because we're also doing future color versions of stuff like the Daleks, for example, and editing them. So I would like to see this also in the future, like Genesis of the Daleks, for example.
Yeah,
Even though
but
it'd
yeah,
be hard.
because we don't have anything for the Fourth Doctor, for instance, because
Yeah,
sadly he's the only really major actor from that time around anymore.
yeah,
And I'd love to see one for the First Doctor era where it's William Russell and Caroline Ford together. Like
yes.
that'd be sweet to see.
Although I think the only limitation of Russell is obviously dementia. Um, so you might instead do David Bradley if William Russell just isn't well enough. And it'd be nice to also get in the future New Who episodes, maybe like a two-parter, and you kind of see um, those Doctors. Although Classic Who should definitely be the focus. But yeah, I'd recommend that. Is Sky alive?
Sky?
Sorry, my mic was muted. So cool. Yeah, I was setting up a camera so people could see my cat. If you turn on the stream, there's a cat camera. I just yeah. Um, you're welcome for that. Um, I'm really stupid sometimes. I really did that. Anyway, let us talk about my recommendation. It is not Doctor Who related, so I'm gonna be the odd one out, I guess. Um, but it is related to what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, The Killer. There's a film that David Fincher made called The Killer. It is a very good, if slightly generic, um, like, well, it's a film about just like a killer who's like trying to get revenge for something that happened to someone he cares about, and it's very very simple, but it's done in a way that because it is a David Fincher film, it is really good. And if it was done by any other director, it would be a very mediocre film. And so it really does impress me how good Fincher made that film, and I highly recommend for everyone. It's just like it has the vibe of a very like a B movie in a sense, like the editing and everything. It feels like a direct to DVD movie, but it's really good. And it has Michael Fassbender as the main actor who plays the killer, and so that yeah, very good. I recommend. Thumbs up from me. Yeah,
Woo!
we did it. We've
Woo.
recommended things. I am so proud of us. So proud of this community, and so on. Jeb turned the cat mic. I mean, you hear my cat meowing today in today's stream, I'm sure. Anyway, let us talk about Doctor Who. It's time, right? I didn't skip anything.
Um,
Um,
yeah, I think it
I
is
think
time.
that's the squad job. Usually, I think we take longer because it's 4 people. But Zod isn't here, so yeah, Doctor Who. So, Russell T. Davies wrote a 3-part special for the Doctor Who 60th anniversary with David Tennant and Catherine Tate returning. With David Tennant playing the 14th Doctor, not the 10th Doctor, because yeah, he regenerated. Jodie regenerated into David Tennant. So yeah, that was odd, and they explored why in this special, which was neat, and we'll get into. And yeah, it starts with an episode called The Star Beast, which I don't know. I didn't think of how to structure this. Do you want to just say something about it, Tin? You seem like you really enjoyed that episode.
oh yeah, I guess I'll leave the Star Beast one, but like this one's generally like well, when RTD like planned out what this was what the special was going to be, he said the Star Beast was like a very much sort of he described it as like a bank holiday family film, like, and it very much has that sort of vibe. Like it eases you back into a style, like eases you back into everything, and that's why it's probably the weakest because like it's very much sort of a bit safer, but it's still very good. But but the thing that I just really adore it for is how it's a trans central story. Like it's just it has Rose's daughter, no, not Rose's daughter, Donna's daughter Rose, and her trans identity being like central to the themes of the story and central to the resolution of the story, and even even like sort of actually does confirm that the Doctor sees himself as sort of gender fluid and like not and pronouns are kind of just a thing for them, like which is like they flirted with that in the past, but like here it was just so good to have that confirmation. And and well, there's a lot of things I really like about it. For one, like I guess the resolution to the whole meta crisis thing, because like we spent 15 years, how the hell would they actually fix that? And at first I wasn't sure on it, but now that I've rewatched it a few times, yeah, I'm like really fine with it. Like because like solve it by Rose basically inheriting half of the meta crisis, and then her and Donna just learn to let it go, which some people take a lot of issue with. Uh, I guess. I mean, I'm fine. I'm fine with it, but I do.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what the issue is other than like, oh, it felt cheap, oh, they resolved it quickly, but it's like there still is a huge consequence. I feel like people only say that because it feels like it's undermining, I guess, the consequences of it, but I just don't think it is, considering how long Donna has had to live like without that part of herself. You know, like it just feels like a huge part of her has just like been missing for so long in the same way that it has for Rose, which is what an analogy they make with her character that I quite appreciate. Um, where it feels like her character has already gone through all the pain that it means to have had that part of her life stripped from her, and her learning that there are more important things in life for her than just traveling with the Doctor, such as having a daughter now that she does. So like I still feel like that there are very much lasting consequences for the fact that she has been without those memories for ages.
Yeah, it's like it's one thing I really love about the entire thing is how Donna's main motivation for most of it is just protecting Rose. Like in Wild Blue Yonder, when they get lost, her main motivation is Rose is waiting. I have to get back to Rose, and like her being like so protective and like so it's just Donna was my favorite companion before that. 'Cause, like she was always my favorite companion, but her in the 60th, will I make her into this just super protective, aggressive mother ally for trans people, and like I guess it's like a surrogate mother figure for every trans child watching the show. Is just oh, I love it. I love it. It makes me feel so warm and euphoric. I love it.
I do love how adamantly like protective of Rose she is, in a sense of like she ain't gonna take shit about Rose, and it's just perfect.
Yeah, and well, there are some bits of incontroversial. Like some people, like I just want to like address some of the trans stuff since like for well three of our hosts are trans, but one of them isn't here. But there's some elements that I feel like we should address due to how I guess controversial they are. Which be one being the dead name scene where some boys ride past and yell out Rose's dead name and say like like general transphobia, and people are saying that shouldn't have been included. It was unnecessary and all that, but I feel like people forget this is Russell T Davies. Like, and I know like these specials mostly have a pretty happy-ish ending. He's still someone who relishes in ripping your heart out and stomping on it. Like he's gonna show the brutal reality of some stuff, and if you're gonna do a story like this, which is all about trans joy, you kind of have to show a little bit of the misery we go through, especially in the UK, where it's probably at its worst.
I mean, I think it just makes sense to not sugarcoat it so that you understand what she goes through and that finding herself at the end just means so much to her, regardless of, the hardships she's faced. Uh, I don't know. I think it's nice. I don't just really have an issue at all, really, with it.
Yeah,
With it.
I mean, it makes sense. Like you're not gonna pull any punches with it, so it makes sense. And there's also the thing RTD say on like the official podcast, which is how Rose's dead name translates to like doctor in Greek or something. People are saying like, oh, he's trying to fan brainify Rose's dead name, but it's more like just
Well, Donna chose
even
that name,
you
so
know
like,
like it's like subconsciously Donna was still thinking of the doctor when naming her child.
yeah, which is a very nice touch from RTD. Like, regardless of whether that is her actual name, you gotta understand that it does reflect on Donna's character, and it's nice because
Yeah.
you just like could have named her anything. Using that name to actually drive home a point about Donna's character just is good writing, just efficient
Yeah.
writing.
It's even like sort of semi-replaced because they say that Rose chose her dead name. Rose chose her name from her memories of
Because
the Doctor. So,
yeah,
so like it all evens out. So like again, it's just neat how like because I've got like a script I'm writing that delves into this sort of thing. But like Doctor Who's always been like a sort of quintessentially queer show. Like it goes into like elements of like found family and finding your own place and like feeling like you don't belong. But like this episode is where like it's the most explicit the show's ever really been, especially in regards to trans people. And having so much of like the usual Doctor Who shenanigans be so tied to like trans identity and trans themes is just it's hard to describe, but it just makes me so happy. Like it's just I mean like the rest of the story is like pretty is great. Like I mean like the whole thing with the Meep is fantastic, but it's just the trans core of the story is what is just I just really love it for that.
yeah, RTD doing good representation for Doctor Who, as we have been asking for a while. It's quite great to see.
And it's especially great because on Unleashed he says Yasmin Finney was there the whole stage of the way through every sort of bit he was writing. So
Mm.
like like she specifically requested that they include the dead name scene. Like it was her idea. Like like listening to like trans voices and other voices when you represent them is very important because well because when all this happened on Doctor Who Twitter, it was the voices of the people well people throwing up a fuss over it and kind of drowning out the voices of the people who are being represented. So like this sort of stuff is important to like always do, especially with like disabled representation that he's doing.
Yeah. And that makes a good point. The pretending that there's no transphobia in 2022 would be 2023 is acting like there's no racism in 1955. And it's interesting because the people who complained about the dead name are the same people that like would complain about the lack of racism towards Martha in the Shakespeare Code and how the Doctor treats her in that episode, where it's just kind of ignoring the racism basically, which it's like if you think that there should have been more, it should have been addressed more in that, you will clearly understand why it's here, right? Like it's the same principle. So I just find it odd that people took issue with it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just RTD knows how the world is. Like he's very much a sort of, he's just one of those writers who just very much reflects how the world is at the time. Like just watch Years and Years. Like he understands politics almost perfectly in that show. So of course he's gonna reflect how society is now, even in like a very much like a sort of small scale family adventure special.
Yeah.
Is there anything else in Star Beast? Well, I guess we can talk about the Meep and that because
Well, yeah, we can talk about the episode itself, but we're just letting you go on because clearly the trans stuff is very important to you.
yeah. But like the trans stuff is very important, but like the episode as a whole is just still very very good. Like it's just plus like the whole premise is like kind of like really great to like do for an anniversary special because it's based on like a 1970s comic about a character that was just mostly obscure, and they're doing that for their big budget 60th anniversary. It's just fantastic.
Yeah. Jeb, what do you think about the Doctor Who episode, The Star Beast?
Hello. So yeah, as Tim mentioned, it was adapted on the Fourth Doctor comic strip, which I hope invites the fans to be more open to like more obscure media and like doing these adaptations because, as you can see, it's very successful. And it allows a weirder side to Who that people are just not used to. But
No, I was going to say this isn't even the first time they've adapted their own extended media stuff. Like Dalek and Human Nature were both adaptations of Big Finish stuff and books and that from the 90s.
Yeah, like Human Nature's. I think was it called Family of Blood, the book, or literally Human Nature by Paul?
It was called Human Nature, and it was a Seventh Doctor story.
Yeah. Turn to the actual episode. I think it was very strong. I think it had a lot to do because obviously you're reintroducing Donna 15 years on. Yeah, 15 years on. You're reintroducing what's her name? Sylvia. You're reintroducing Sean. And you have to like explain why the 14th Doctor is the way the 14th Doctor is, because this is in the same vein of like Deep Breath, 11th Hour, such. It's a beginning story for a Doctor because 14th isn't exactly as 10 is. So you got that. You've also got to deal with our whole meta crisis problem. You're dealing with new characters such as Rose, and making sure you incorporate the trans aspect very well into that episode, which people say, "Oh, that's easy to do." No, it's not. It's very much not, because you're dealing with a very complex situation, and RTD is writing from a cis point of view, which makes it even harder because they haven't lived through the experiences.
That's very true. Yeah, like a trans writer writing the trans experience would be fairly easy, but like a cis writer who is mostly just taking on other trans people's experiences, it's harder to write that down and write that into a story.
Yeah. But it's
Yeah,
something to make a comparison that I find interesting. In Euphoria, there's the first season was written, and obviously they have a trans character with Jules, played by Hunter Schafer, and there is an episode focused on her because basically season one has like each episode is focused on one character. Season two does that a little bit too, but not as much. And it goes into a little bit of her past and how she was basically sent to like conversion therapy. It was wild. But the like that episode doesn't delve deeply into it, and then there's a special episode between seasons because obviously of COVID, they didn't have time to shoot season two before COVID hit, so they did two special episodes, one with focusing on Rue, which is Zendaya's character, and one focusing on Jules. And Hunter Schafer co-wrote her episode, and you can tell that there's a big difference in terms of like how she expressed her transness in a way that Sam Levinson just couldn't understand. And not in a sense that makes Sam Levinson just a bad, writer or something. It's just hard to understand an experience that you live through. Especially when Hunter Schafer, she expresses her transness in a way that's so, like, poetic. She's written a lot of poems about her transness. And so you can tell when a big difference from when a cis person is writing a trans character and when a trans person is. And so it is much harder for a cis person to do that and do it well. So obviously, I really do appreciate how RTD talked to Yasmin Finney, and obviously, I assume many other trans people to try to understand their experiences and took what they said on board to write her character in a way that felt real, but also like not, kind of getting through his biases that he obviously would have being a cis person. And so, yeah, my point is he did well. He listened to the to Yasmin Finney as he should.
yes. And especially when you consider you've got two camps, you've got the anti-SJW, this is woke, and then you've obviously got the camp which is the trans, the trans community, and you've got to make sure that you're not speaking over them, and that you're actually using your cis privilege in a way that isn't damaging in any way.
Yeah.
Because that could easily backfire, especially on a show like Doctor Who, of all things. What else was there? Also the background stuff, and then you're introducing the Meep, and you're taking an adaptation and you're trying to incorporate all these elements, whilst not taking away from the original adaptation itself, which again is very difficult to do. And thankfully they keep the core of the story, what makes it work, very well. That there's a lot to it that really feels like quite a love letter, not only to the era but also to the fans as well. It like you could feel that sense of family eventually. You could feel that you're with your family, you're watching Doctor Who all together, you're all kind of incorporated. Whereas I felt like even during the Moffat run, the Chibnall era, that feeling wasn't quite there.
Well, I think a thing that a lot of people say, right, is that Doctor Who became a little bit too much to follow for general audiences.
Yes.
This episode felt like you could be the first episode of Doctor Who you watched and it would be fine. Like it felt like classic Doctor Who, like it could introduce you to the show while also tackling like a bunch of stuff that happened 15 years ago. Obviously, the recap in the beginning helps, but it does feel very much like it is just reintroducing you to Doctor Who, being like, see, this is what the show is, the idea of the show, just this classic silly adventure with a villain called the Meep. Who's like extremely silly, but at the same time extremely dangerous. It's like, yeah, that's what Doctor Who is about.
Yeah, like speaking for myself, this was like the first episode I watched with my mum, who like for the first time since. Well, we watched Power of the Doctor, like, but that was only because that was the episode I was interested in because I wanted to see who would show up. But before that, the last episode what I watched with my mum was Orphan 55, and we both decided just no, just no. But even before then, like, only I watched Doctor Who in my household, like watched it on the night together and all that. And I think, before then, like the last time I really watched with someone was my sister when I watched series 9, because I remember sitting down to watch Heaven Sent with her, and that was 8 years ago. So yeah, like the general family togetherness of Doctor Who hasn't been around for a long time. And I guess doing that sort of sense of togetherness for Doctor Who again and making a family the core of the story definitely helped.
Yeah. And oh shit, okay, just died. And my God, the director for this, it's by
Oh yeah,
Rachel Talalay, who's done World Enough of Time, Heaven Sent, you name it. So to me, she's my favorite Doctor Who director. Um, I think she just understands it. Um, and I'm so glad she was here for this. It feels like a huge upgrade, yet it feels still at the core. What do you expect from Doctor Who? It
Mhm.
hasn't lost that aspect. I feel like just another different show that you could watch. Uh, the best moment in terms of directing was the whole escaping from their street, and you basically have all those you have the shots of obviously the violence and the war, and you get a really good scope of it with the drone shot above, and then you can see them in their houses above, and I'm like, I don't think I've seen Doctor Who try and do this. I don't think it really had the capacity to do so even.
and
Um,
like you can see the budget on screen. Like you can just see how much this cost to make.
yeah, exactly, and I feel like as well the new TARDIS, for example, like my God, I don't think we've seen at least a TARDIS that big like ever. It actually feels spacious, bigger on the
Yeah,
inside type deal, rather than trying to do certain things for tricks. Um,
yeah, like especially since like the previous one weirdly felt the smallest out of all of the new Who ones because it just felt so cramped and the lighting didn't help and it just and the big column things just made it feel so it just made it feel so compact. But here it's like you can tell like it's like the TARDIS just let out a great big breath and just cooked up this great big bugger. And it's
yeah, and
just
I was gonna say
you go on.
it's a perfect blend. I feel of the two eras, um, and it's kind of fitting that uh, this is the TARDIS that Shooty will have make their own. Um, given that it is that blend, and the new series is intended to take the blend of classic and new Who and just progress it further and tell it in a new creative way that we just couldn't do before
Yeah,
due
it's
to
like
budgets and such.
because in 2005, like the thing was Doctor Who had been off the air for like a good decade or so. So like you couldn't rely so much on the classic era and all that stuff. It's why it took them so long to eventually phase in more classic stuff. So like it had to stand on its own 2 feet. That's why the TARDIS looks so different. Like it couldn't go fully classic. It's why Eccleston is so different to everyone else. Like it had to really establish itself as its own unique identity. But like since now that Doctor Who's been around for so long that the reboot is now can be considered classic. Like you
Yeah,
can do like what the
So
show
much
was
so
gonna do,
that it
which is
has
like
been rebooted. There's a
yeah, like
new Who.
literally the next reboot is gonna like be able to draw on the classic elements thanks to the previous reboot establishing itself. So like it's a weird way how the eras kind of ebb and flow.
yeah. And the episode also does a good job at setting up what's in the future. So the the Meep, hears that the Doctor has two hearts like itself, um, and is very fascinated. We find out later that there's this mysterious figure called the boss that is very interested to beings with two hearts. Um, and David Tennant confirmed in a video commentary, which is also cool that they have that as well. We continue in that. That he doesn't know who the boss is, but Collinson and the producer, I can't remember her name. I feel bad. I think her name's Vicky in it.
Vicky Vicky Bellew?
I think that's the name. I knew her
Something like
first
that.
name was Vicky.
Yeah.
Those two know who the boss is, which obviously means it's a shooty error thing. And it allows those people that are there again for the 6th year to realise, hey, there's going to be a hook here. I want to find out who the boss is, and see how that's going to incorporate future. Because I'm glad it's not the toy maker. That would have been really obvious choice.
Like if they had just made it the toy maker, and like if they had made the toy maker the overarching villain, that would have been a bit too on the nose. Like it would have been a bit too explicitly setting up someone who shows up 2 episodes later.
Yeah. Another person I want to highlight in the story, we haven't talked about her. Rouge Madeley as Shirley.
Shirley Ann Bingham, my beloved, yes.
She was great.
So obviously I'm disabled, but I don't have thankfully, I have the privilege of being able to walk and such. Although my legs keep fucking themselves over, so who knows? But she's obviously in a wheelchair. She's not paralysed. That is a common misconception for people in wheelchairs, and that will get addressed in the giggle. But in this, she is the scientific advisor for UNIT. Don't know what's happening with Osgood. She's out there somewhere. But Shirley's now the scientific advisor, and she's an excellent character. She doesn't let her disability prevent her, which is a common theme for people with disabilities. They're very much assertive and showing their independence. And
Yeah,
they
like-
all.
I was gonna say like the bit where they have to go up the stairs to the spaceship, and the soldier's genuinely sorry about the stairs, and she's just like, don't make me the problem, just go up there. Like,
Yeah. Which a lot of people who aren't disabled probably be like, oh, she might have been a bit snappy or whatever. Trust me, most of disabled people, a lot of them are very much like, I don't want to be the problem. Don't do things around me, please. It will annoy me.
Well, Tin, you've watched Sex Education season 4. They make a big point of that with
yeah, they make
actually a deaf character, Jeb. I think you really enjoyed that if you ever do get
like-
around to
yeah, like-
watching it.
Yeah,
But
there's a whole story about how like they like how they've accommodated gay people and queer people, but they've done bugger all for like disabled people, and
yeah.
it's a really great story.
Yeah, and how it's like very hard for disabled people to always be like have to ask for things rather than just, live in society. Like you go to a movie theater and they don't turn subtitles on. It's like, well, I'm not gonna complain because if I did that every time, it's always gonna be, annoying, and I'm gonna be like the complainer. And most of the time people just want to live without calling attention to themselves. Anyway, that's sex education talk. Leave that for another time. I'm sure
It's,
Tin and I can do a stream on that at some other point.
it's weird that subtitles still aren't like a necessity in fucking cinemas, at least in mine. I'm like, why aren't they like automatically there?
I do find it odd because, like, even for non-disabled people, it just helps to understand the film. I just think it's
Yeah.
a net positive for everyone.
Like as far as I know, I don't think I have any hearing difficulties, but I just prefer having subtitles on.
Yeah.
Just-
Well,
just makes it
there's the
easier.
thing that people say they can't hear unless they have subtitles on. It's just because a lot of the time your brain takes a while to process what's being said, but if you can read it at the same time, it makes it easier to process. And obviously for
That makes sense.
disabled people, hearing disabled people, it just makes life a lot easier for them. So like, why not do it?
Yeah, it's like for me, when something's like really quiet and I see the subtitles, it causes the illusion because I think of the voices in my head and how I hear them. It amplifies everything.
Yeah, that makes sense.
so cinemas hate us, I guess. But
Getting back to the point.
But yeah, Shai's an excellent character, and she also, and it's a very nice detail. Her she even has weapons in her wheelchair, which I'm like, yes, she would have weapons in her wheelchair, because people would underestimate her for being disabled, and that actually plays into her. That's smart, Russell. I like it. And don't worry, for people who might be concerned that kids want weapons in their wheelchairs. It's okay. We're not going out bombing people.
If I
Um,
was a disabled kid, I would want weapons in my wheelchair after watching this episode. I would want that, Jeb.
like, just for reference, Heels versus Babyface, the bold monkey-brained cunt, um, was like,
That's an accurate
oh,
description, yes.
this person has rockets in their wheelchairs, way to make the kids scared. And I'm like, what?
I love
Do they
she's
go
great.
to? Do they go to a vehicle and think, oh no, that's going to be a giant transforming alien that's going to kill us? Like, no, I don't think they do.
I
So,
think also, just to get into that point, I think it's really telling how these people see kids as if they're like unable to like discern fiction from reality, like at all. Like, oh, they're gonna see a child and they're gonna see a woman in a wheelchair with missiles, so they're gonna think every person who's in a wheelchair has missiles. Like, no, children are smarter than that ass. They're not as stupid as you. Don't worry.
You forget it, this is still basically a children's sci-fi program. It is not real life.
it's it's also like, are we drawing the line at this? Like in Doctor Who, of all things,
Yeah,
I've
like
seen
there
a
have
lot of
been much
scary
sillier
stuff.
things.
I just, but yeah, she's an excellent character. She gets more in the giggle as well, and I'm I prefer her to Osgood. Osgood felt very much of a caricature, unfortunately, except for the Zygon inversion two-parter. And I'm glad she's staying for season 14, and she's going to be a big part of um, the future for Doctor Who, because it's essential. And I do envision that she's going to be in the TARDIS at some point.
I
Yeah,
mean, I
like
do
Because it
imagine
will.
she's gonna just end up being like a recurring supporting character. Her and
Yeah,
Kate a lot because of how
yeah,
Unit
like
seems to be incorporated moving forward. Like it seems like Unit is gonna be like the new Torchwood in a sense,
yeah,
but
like
without the sex
yeah.
predators. So that's cool.
yeah,
I
like
had to make the joke. I'm sorry.
yeah, yeah, but I imagine that like it's gonna be more like the 70s and Pertwee's era, where like he was very much involved with and like had the unit family with the Brigadier and that. I feel like this is gonna be the same here, where like Shirley and Kate and all that and Mel are gonna be very much reoccurring players.
They they also make a cool detail as well that when they first meet, uh, the full team goes on about like the generations, and Charlie's like thinking, "Oh, this is the 10th Doctor," and they establish, "Oh, wait, you can't know your own future." So it's kind of cool that part of her role is ensuring that if she ever comes across the Doctor or sees the Doctor, let's not make sure time just fucking breaks because of this individual.
Yeah, like
Well, I think it's just very smart world building that's done in a very
Yeah,
subtle way.
yeah, like I assume they
yeah.
all have a file for every doctor they've met,
Yeah.
and like if they see that face, like, oh, it's that doctor. All right, let's get down to business.
Yeah.
It's gonna make things a bit confusing.
Jeb, why did your
Now
mic
on
suddenly go super loud? What just happened?
is it better?
It is now, yeah.
Yeah, I got closer to it by accident.
Oh, okay.
It is super funny that like they now have a file on 14, and it's like, how are we going to tell the difference really? Maybe
Well,
the outfit, but then Tev dresses up differently a lot. So
look, 14 is older. I mean, obviously, David Tennant hasn't aged all that much, but that's the only way you can tell. He has a few wrinkles on his face. That's it.
if they go, if 14th's not at the house, this must be 10th. 14th wouldn't leave the house. They're under house arrest by unit.
Well, it's gonna end up being like the type of thing that's kind of like whatchamacallit, the River Song
Oh
What
yeah, the diary, like this
the
all out
diary?
of
That's what.
order.
Yeah, where it's like, which episode? I think it was the Weeping Angels one. Which was like, where are we? Has the fall of the Byzantium happened? Like that and that. It's like, I think it's just gonna be that thing. Like, has this happened yet? No. Okay, so that's good to know.
Also, in that scene, like one thing I really love is that Shirley introduces herself to the Doctor, and they immediately like sort of respect each other. They immediately respect each other and like
Mm.
get on each other's level and
Oh, I
just
love when he asks, like, waiting for this your whole life? You wish. It's
Yeah.
great. She's just like so unimpressed in a sense of like, I don't see you as above me, which I think is really cool for her character. Um, just to characterize her as someone who has that kind of authority, and understands her value to like the world, basically, due to her work at UNIT. Like it just shows that she understands what she's doing is important. I like that.
and also like when he asks if she got like the landing schematics or something, and then she goes, "Oh, I got everything," and then just hands her the tablet. And it's like that's just such a neat moment where like she's already showing that like yeah, she's the scientific advisor. Of course, she would be on top of that. So it's like for once, the scientific advisor actually does some scientific advising.
I can't wait because she's got a bit of sass to her. I can't wait for 15th and her to interact.
Oh,
Because
it's gonna be
15th,
great. Jesus
They're
Christ.
gonna be dynamite together.
I
because
need that in my
15th's already
life.
got it. 15th's already got sass. Like with the whole getting the second TARDIS about getting a prize.
Well, I mean, the clip
Yeah.
from the Church of on Ruby Road, it's phenomenal. Where he says, "Who sees a ladder going up a ship?" It just goes, "Yeah, I'll jump on that, babes." It's great. It's absolutely just. I love Shooty Gatwa, man. His personality is great. But we'll get to that when we talk about the giggle. But yeah.
Um, what else? Oh, we haven't really talked about the fucking meme. The Meep is great. The Meep is absolutely phenomenal. Voiced by Miriam Margolyes, who's kind of seen as a national treasure. Um,
I'd say she
but
is.
the Meep is essentially a fluffy furball that comes to Earth, pretends to be really cute, like, oh, you want a teddy of this thing? And even my mum was like, oh, I'm gonna have to make cakes out of this. And then suddenly becomes a sadistic, bigoted alien that just wants to commit war crimes. And the fucking disparity between the two had me like continuously laughing. My favourite moment was when the Meep just calls Rose weird, and then Donna's like, you know what? I'm just gonna go hands to hands with this fucking thing.
Yeah, like you what? That was great. And it's also like
It's,
RTD just made the meep transphobic. That was very funny.
yeah,
Just like, yeah, she's
It's like
weird.
it's funny how he's made two of his villagers casually bigoted.
Yeah.
it's like the Meep's like, oh yeah, fuck this. I'm tired of being here. I'm just gonna fucking murder all these people. I've had enough.
Also, like
This,
because like the Meep actually predates like ET and like Gremlins and that, like the sort of usual cutesy 80s alien sort of thing. It's kind of nice that like it's aged pretty well because we have those now, and it like sort of gives you that impression of, oh, it's a cute little alien thing. It's all furry and cute. Oh god, it's a war criminal.
yeah, and like the puppeteering, the animatronics, and even the visual effects. Again,
Not say
it's
they're.
to me, it's
I'm not gonna say they're perfect because I think the CGI when he becomes evil meep is a little too noticeable because I think he becomes way too animated. But I think before then I was very much like, is this just like fully puppet? Obviously, afterwards I learned that they did some touch ups with CGI for his mouth movements and whatnot. But it's
it's
really really impressive. I think before that, afterwards I was like, yeah, clearly some CGI is going on.
it's to me, it's generally better than Grogu. And the
Oh,
main
I
reason
mean,
is movement wise.
yeah, I mean, yeah. Remember that clip of Grogu running on top of like some lamps or whatever in the season 3 finale of Mando? That was fucking
Yeah,
hilarious.
it it just looks like a toy you're like throwing up in the air at points. Um, but yeah, the meep's excellent. Like, uh, I hope, I kind of hope the meep isn't a one-off villain, but I wouldn't be mad if they are. I just feel like the meep's like an extra thing to do. I just don't know how you'd incorporate it in future stories, or even their race, even though they're the last ones. You might be able to do a story roundabout back in time when they had other meeps.
It would be interesting if they had a story before the Meeps ended up turning evil. I think that could be interesting. With before their son caused them to become insane.
Yeah, Sam, I like that comment as well. Like, it even put me to surprise how they did like the reveal, because obviously
you're just like,
I
fuck
do
this, and then boom, evil teeth, red eyes,
Yeah.
just great. It's so over the top. Just classic Doctor Who.
It's just like the 14th realizes, hey, and I was like it during the episode. I was so glad it was fucking addressed. I was like, why is this taxi not taking any fucking damage? What's happening?
I noticed that, and I was like, huh, that's odd, because he was killing those people. I was like, no, they were knocked out. He even noticed that the guy was knocked out. He checked his pulse, the unit soldier, which was like very good attention to detail to set up the next scene and the reveal. Like, it all made perfect sense. It was great.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, hang on, they're not trying to damage our car, so
Yeah,
they're not here to kill. Otherwise, they would have killed by now.
yeah.
And the evoking of the Shadow Proclamation, I was like, yeah, we got a Shadow Proclamation reference again.
Yeah, it's always RTD doing the Shadow Proclamation shit every time.
I think Moffat did it a while back. I'm trying to remember what episode Moffat did.
I don't remember Moffat doing it at
In The
all.
Magician's Apprentice, we see the Shadow
Yes.
Proclamation base again.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Well, yeah,
I knew,
but 10 is like 10 all the time was invoking the Shadow Proclamation during his era. Which it just feels like classic, like going back to, yeah, this is RTD on the helm. He's gonna talk about the Shadow Proclamation, baby.
And then there was the Fourth Doctor reference where he just gets the court wing and puts on his head.
Yeah. Yeah, I
And
saw
was
that
like,
later on Twitter. I thought it was great. That it was a reference as well.
and like, oh, what else was I gonna say? And then obviously my favorite scene though, my two favorite scenes actually. Obviously the whole moment where the 14th's like in desperation and realizes 9 million people or Donna, and Donna's like, I don't. It's not about me. These are 9 million people, including my daughter, that is going to burn. And honestly, the acting, like Tate and Tennant, is so perfect. It's like they never left type deal. And I'm quite glad because again, the Chibnall era didn't have much dramatic moments, especially with a companion and Doctor. It was one of the very big things lacking. And to get something like this, just a dedicated scene full of character, with just like a Russian code being said, and then Donna's reaction, and then Donna becoming Dr. Donna and how she reacts about the lottery money.
I thought that was great as well. Do you know why I gave it away? Because I was trying to be like you, which is also like, it's very funny, but it's also really like, holy shit, it's breaking my heart. Like this has been missing from her for so long. Like this part of her life, and she's tried to claw it back from the back of her mind, but she's never been able to. Like how much that must have hurt. It just feels like so. It feels very Moffat in a sense, like that. Like a part of her identity trapped inside of her mind or something. Like that feels very Moffat. I don't know.
And like 14th going, Donna, London's burning.
Yeah, just like berating him. I was like, Donna.
And then over it, and I'll get to Gold's music because my favorite composer. Yes, with
Jeff Russo.
I said my favorite composer.
Yeah, and then I said
Oh,
Jeff Russo.
I thought you said he Jeb. My hearing. But anyway, all over a new version of I Am the Doctor. To hear that again, but not in a way that sounds like really forced in, and it feels like an actual continuation of that theme. It all just felt very well earned. It felt like you've just experienced those 15 years in that singular moment, and you're getting rewarded for dealing with all that trauma just as Donna did. And then my second favorite scene, and I might actually put it as my favorite because it really encapsulates RTD's writing and how well he's just good at writing human things, which I don't think any other writer in the show's history has ever done. Um, it's the scene when Rose goes into the shed and then Sylvia and Donna just have a simple conversation, and Sylvia's like, "Was I okay to use that word?" And it's like it's such a natural piece of writing, and it's exactly what you see from people that are trying to accept this from an older generation that never really had these concepts prevalent during their era. I see it with my nan even. Like, she has to ask me, even though I'm cis. Um, and I have to explain to her. She's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And it just feels so on point. And then Donna explaining, like, how like, it is having a child growing up. And then it just feels so right to see them becoming who they really are. And it's like, I see you and Ting get way more out of it because I'm not trans.
Oh yeah.
But for me, that was really touching to see because
Yeah,
I think you
mean,
could
I
also
think I think I even said at the time that was like the best scene in the episode. It was just
yeah,
phenomenal. Like, I absolutely loved that.
because I think you could also liken it to being anyone under the LGBT plus umbrella because we live in a heteronormative society as well, and also a very sex driven society. So someone that's asexual is kind of like, wow, that's unexpected.
Hmm.
Um, and same for aromantic. So it just felt perfect. I couldn't change one aspect of that, and it's something I've really missed in Doctor Who, where it just feels human. It feels domestic. It feels like sci-fi, domestic, and married together. It's a perfect element, and it's why I love his writing for the show more than any other writer for the show.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Um, what else? Gold's music, Murray Gold. I will say this time and time again: this man is from Portsmouth. He is one of me, and I am one of him. He is our brethren. We raised him, and that man is the best TV composer out there, and my favourite composer. Not just because he's from Portsmouth. And my God, no offense to Sagoon, I just don't like the I just don't think the ambient pieces suit the show all the time, especially during dramatic moments. I understand it for sad episodes, so I much prefer Gold's take on how the show should sound. And it just felt like he never left. Like, you got uh, older themes being reinvented in ways that are very subtle, and if you just know the music, you catch on and you feel rewarded, and it just doesn't feel in your face. And you got new themes coming along that just work so well, and that's the case throughout the entire trilogy of the episodes, especially the Toy Makers theme, which is right out of Years and Years.
Yeah. Like, and one thing, like the whole returning themes thing. One thing I really one thing I really commend him for is how reserved he is for bringing them back or like reusing them. Because when he was announced, everyone expected, oh, we're just gonna hear this theme, this theme, this theme. But like, you only hear a handful, and even then, like, they're really sort of, I guess, woven in a lot more naturally, a lot more subtly. Like, there's a few uses in Wild Blue Yonder, like they use like this is Gallifrey and all that, and it's a lot more subtle and held back, but it's just still so, well, I guess gold. I guess yeah, should be. but like then you get some moments which I guess like I guess in the giggle, for instance, you just straight up hear the shepherd's boy at some point,
Yes.
and I didn't even notice on the first go, but like hearing it again, like in just like probably one of the few mainly bombastic sort of scores in the whole trilogy of specials. It's just so good to hear it back, and like And probably the best for me, like, is when you fully hear the Doctor's theme when like he's playing about with the screens and that. Like that's like hearing that after 6-ish years of never hearing that theme and it being like reinterpreted in such a very honestly pretty beautiful-ish way. It's just so good to hear it back. It's just so good.
My favorite gold piece, and I even Ned was like, I don't know how this would work in the show when he first heard it, but now it's like this works really well. It's 15th thing, like it just feels it. It feels adventurous. It feels thrilling. It puts you on edge. By God, the way they use it in the editing of the giggle, I had goosebumps and I couldn't stop smiling. And
Yeah.
I haven't had that feeling since I Am the Doctor first appeared with a theme. And I love Shepherd's Boy and Am I a Good Man? There's just something about 15's theme that gets it and
Yeah, like
encapsulates the show.
like the live version was good. I'm not gonna say like it was a bad version, but the live version was good. But hearing it in the show, seeing him dash around the TARDIS and just be all very adventurous, it just hits so different, and it really feels more alive and like bubbly.
Yeah, and it really helped because I'm looking at 15 and I'm seeing them in underwear on the TARDIS, and then the music kicks in. I'm like, despite being in underwear, this is the Doctor. You know, they're not in a I don't know how to pronounce it, but like eccentric outfit or anything. They're just in underwear, and I'm like, that is the Doctor right there that I'm looking at immediately. And it helps that Shooty was just had the best Doctor introduction um, since Matt
But
Smith.
but we'll get to that when we talk
Yeah.
about the
Yeah,
giggle.
I want to talk about Shooty quite a bit. We'll get to it.
yeah, I've got I, Shooty's amazing, but I don't think what else to say. Oh, also obviously the whole Let It Go, the Meta Crisis, and the non-binary. I think passing down the Meta Crisis, absolute genius, and it's something so simple. Yet people probably didn't think of it. We didn't, and we were theorizing non-stop. So it just shows how clever Rusty Davies is. The twist on like the toys and that, um, it could have been done better, a bit more clearer, because certain toys I'm looking at them, I'm like, at least the ones that we see when we're looking at Rose's shed, I'm like, well, this doesn't. The one of it's meant to be a Dalek. That's not a Dalek. Um, but it's what it is. And also, apparently, they deliberately made it really vague and then showed it more like the actual monsters to show the memories coming back. Which, sure. I initially didn't like the let go scene. Um, I found it quite strange, and then Sky came up with 3 points. Obviously, it being a bit of a joke thing, but also that um, it's kind of a thing that the Doctor just doesn't do. The Doctor has this heavy burden all the time, and they just don't let go. Even Jodie just couldn't really let go, except until the end. And it's even harder for this face, who had so much baggage when they were 10. And the let go line now really works when you consider it's a constant running theme between the episodes. And we also get the payoff, which we'll get into in the giggle. So I'm actually very happy that's now included, and it put the episode up to a 9 out of 10 for me. I just think it's very strong as an
Yeah.
introduction, uh, and it shows in the ratings as well.
I just
Very
want to say
successful.
real quick before we move on from this. Our good old German watcher is in chat, and he called us his best friends, favorite friends. So thank
Hello.
you, Colin. We love seeing you here, even though I understand. I'm the only one who understands what you say, even though not that much. But yeah, good afternoon for you too.
You
You're
would have
you're very cool.
you would have been better when we had the pedophile as a host,
Yeah,
because they were German.
yeah. 3 years ago.
But alas, you're here now, and you know what? We appreciate you.
We do.
I would have liked some savage shots of the shed. I think it's very clever. It's a TARDIS, but I'd never get that as a TARDIS. There was really clues that it is a TARDIS. I think that's quite deliberate, to be fair.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I think the episode would have benefited from more shots. I agree with that.
yeah, I think just refine the twist a bit. But that, to be honest, that isn't like pivotal to the story. RTD had to focus on 10 other things, and I'm happy with a twist not being perfectly done. As my big criticism.
Mm-hmm.
It makes a great change from fucking Series 13. Is it Series 13? Yeah, Series 13. Dear God. I guess we should get into Wild Blue Yonder, which is my favourite episode.
Yeah.
Can't...
You go first then. Talk about Wild Blue
Yeah,
Yonder. You go, girl.
I've been misgendered. And now I know what it's like to be trans.
Yes.
No, I'm kidding. So, it feels good. It feels good to have a 10 out of 10 episode after so long. So very long. Wild Blue Yonder is exactly what I want Doctor Who to do in the future. It is changing ground. It is doing unique concepts and unique environments and unique scenarios. And it's doing it to drive character, and it's like a slow burner, and you're like constantly second guessing things. It keeps you thinking, and I'm like, yes, this is what I want from the show. And I'm so glad that Russell T Davies has explicitly said this is what the show will be going towards more, being more creative. And whilst, yeah, sure, you could say, why was this episode so hidden? I'm like, well, it's your fault if you thought there were cameos in that. They explicitly said there wouldn't be. It's literally there to show a brand new concept. I understand why it's so hidden.
But it's also
So,
just like you're slowly learning with the characters about the
yeah,
mystery of the episode. If there's like a lot of marketing around it, then you're gonna end up spoiling aspects of it that build up to the reveal. So I kind of like that it was all like basically going in blind for everyone.
exactly. The opening scene was weird. It was a bit of fun, comedic thing, just to get you prepared for the torment you're going to experience. Um, uh, I don't know if Bavity's going to become a running thing in the next season. Maybe, who knows? But you know, it was a nice fun. If you're crying that Isaac Newton's Asian, okay. There's bigger things going on in the world than Isaac Newton being played by an Asian person, frankly. And if you go, oh, well, you would like if a black person was played by a white person. Let me tell you the difference here. White people weren't haven't been oppressed in media, and a lot of black characters are created with that oppression in mind, and those experiences in mind, because they have constantly have to justify why they're in media, why these characters are important. So, media isn't a meritocracy. Stop pretending it is.
Mm-hmm.
So, um,
I
but
just think it's silly to care about it. Basically, like it's just a funny scene about Isaac Newton. His race is entirely irrelevant to that scene. It's also like Doctor Who has never been historically accurate, in a lot of aspects.
yeah,
So it's just like whatever.
it's I generally saw someone go, oh, well that means we can make Martin Luther King white, and I'm like, I don't think you quite understand who Martin Luther King was. Um, they were kind of a activist for racial equality and got assassinated for it. I don't think you could just make them white.
Yeah, that's what people say about like when people talk about race bending, they're like, what if they made Hitler black? What if they made Black Panther white? And it's like, but these characters, their race is like an incredibly important part of their character. Obviously, Hitler, whatever. You get my point. If you made Black Panther white, it's just like entirely changing what that character represents. Like they're from Africa, and the way that he has to fight racism and wanna like that's part of his character. The same for Luke Cage. You can't just make Luke Cage white. But if you make a character like Peter Parker black, it doesn't matter. His race isn't tied to his character, and so you could do
Yeah.
that. But by that point, you're just not doing Miles because you don't want to. But you get my idea.
Exactly. So my favorite part of the episode were what are called the not things. The not things are beings that exist outside of the universe, and they don't really have anything. They're not. They're not binded by our laws of the universe. They're not even registered as life forms or even something that you can perceive until they start learning from you. Um, and they're motivated because all they had was the war, the pain, the violence of the universe, and they found it fun. Um, and I quite like that, given that the Time War, the Rutan War, Daleks in general, the Flux. I feel like it really works. This is what these vids would hear, and they've learned from it. And I also love that during the episode, they're slowly learning to become exactly like 40 for 10, 40 for Tate, Donna, to understand what exactly is going on around the ship, and to also get the TARDIS once they got the thoughts. And it leads to some absolutely brilliant scenes. For example, when they're first established, you got the Doctor talking about the TARDIS, wondering where it goes when it senses danger, and I was just kind of like captivated the way it was being described, and it's something ripped straight out of Moffat. It feels like, as to how the TARDIS gets described around like a location, people build around it, and people get violent towards it, and then they realize to respect it and so on. And someone on Twitter saw that it drew parallels to the Timeless Child, and I'm like, that's such a clever way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's such
Especially
a
when the
clever way.
episode does talk about the timeless child thing later.
Yes. And it's like such a clever way to tether this bond even further between the TARDIS and the Doctor. And then we do get that scene addressing Flux, addressing Timeless Child. And again, Tate and Tennant fucking kill it. And if the Timeless Child was handled like this, I would have actually become on board with it, because the way it impacts the Doctor's character, you can just see from uh, their face, and and I love the fact that it's not Donna. It's actually a not thing trying to torment them, and they fall for it, and then they obviously have their breakdown. I'm just like, we haven't had this. This is what 13 should have been reacting like. Like this is exactly how it should have been, and now we're finally getting it, and we're getting it in a way that really works for the character. That they blame themselves, and that we kind of understand the impact it's having, and we finally establish, hey, the flux still has consequence. Half the universe is destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably going to be a big thing in the future, knowing RTD. And then we've got, for Donna seeing herself as stupid, worthless, not really brilliant, and that's mocked in her face for them to come together again. And then obviously they establish, oh, actually no, Donna flips between these. And also the not things, the clues that give it away. For example, originally they don't have a concept of how people should look. Like the arms are too long, and then the jaw struggle to control, the knees are difficult, and then they don't understand how physical objects act when dropped and such, and how they should behave. They shouldn't disappear. And then they realise people aren't binary; they can think of two things at once,
Mm-hmm.
or multiple things. And the
Which
fact
is
they're
just, I
slowly
think
learning, they're
that's
becoming
like,
more formidable.
I feel like RTD writes about all this in a way that feels like, I don't know, like understanding humanity in a way that may sound like cheesy as hell, but it's kind of the way I see it. Because it's like he understands that humans are way more complicated than just believing in one thing. They believe in multiple contradictory things at once. and that's just how humans are, and that's what makes us so interesting, is that we can believe two opposite things at once, is that we can, both hate ourselves and love ourselves. We can think that we're dumb but also think that we're brilliant, which is just something like, it feels in a way, it kind of reminds me of Eternals, which is a film that I feel like is a love letter to humanity, like understanding the complexities and the nuances of what being human is and appreciating that. And it feels that way with like the way the Doctor talks about Donna and talks about humans being like, that's what's brilliant about humans. They can believe two opposite things at once, which I find so cool. I don't know how to describe it. It's just really, really cool.
Yeah, exactly. And so a lot of people had the criticism around the not things when the not thing version of Donna gets into the TARDIS, and then obviously the Doctor's like, shit, hang on, that's the wrong one. And I will defend that with all my heart because one, it was established earlier in the episode that the Doctor is fallible to the not things. Like with the flux stuff, they believed that was Donna. Um, and two, it emphasizes just how close they were to winning, and the tiniest details is what separates between Donna and the not thing. They really hammers home the threat. I felt like that scene was needed, really. And they do address it in the next episode. People don't quite realise how they did, but we'll get to giggle with that. So, what else to say about the episode? There's a lot about the episode. A lot of people complained about the visual effects as well. In the main long stretch of corridor, I could see the green screen complaints a bit, but for the rest of the episode, the not things being quite, what's the word? I guess cartoony, quote unquote. That kind of ties into what they are. They're trying to become more what we understand in our frame of mind. So they have to start off as exaggerated and slowly become that to show they're becoming more dangerous. And also, I just think it's a brilliant idea of the not things to have doppelgangers of yourself that has the same force, that are thinking at the same time as you, and all of it encompassed under the idea that, hey, they're trying to scare you, so you're forced to think fast, and if you're forced to think fast, they feed off you, and it explains why the entire ship's just slow, why everything's on a slow countdown, why the robot moves slow, everything. So
Oh yeah, I think
I
it's
really
interesting
love the not things.
because like RTD just thinks like, okay, so there's this species of beings from outside the universe, and you're just thinking, what are concepts from our universe? So like, it's just fast and slow, for example. It's just very hard for them to grasp because for them it's just like everything has to be fast. We can assimilate the people. It's just basically second nature to them. I assume it's just how they evolved to hunt people. Um, but then like them not understanding a few concepts like object permanence and whatnot, I just think it's like such an interesting way to think like, oh yeah, like these beings have existed outside of the universe. They would not understand a lot of concepts that are like intrinsic to our universe. And I love the moment where Donna noticed that there wasn't a tie. And it's like, oh, once you remove something, it doesn't stop existing. I thought that was like really clever.
Yeah,
So I just really like the concept of what RTD does with the not things, no things, not things. I don't know.
yeah. And Sam, just to your comment. Um, yes, but that's assuming that when the explosion starts, that it's impacted the entire ship at that point going towards Donna. What it looks like is it's impacted the corridor towards Donna, and then makes it way further up, and then does the big explosion, which we see when the TARDIS moves away. So she shouldn't be sat down.
Yeah, I assume it's
Uh,
blowing up from the inside and then it blows up everything once that's
yes,
done.
yeah. Um. Oh, as well. Wilfred Mott. I forgot about Wilfred Mott.
Yeah.
Um, obviously Bernard Cribbins, treasure to the show. Wilfred Mott, absolute treasure. One of the best characters. Um, unfortunately, obviously they couldn't get anything for their giggle because Better Cribbins passed away. But my God, what an excellent surprise it was to see him at the end of Wild Blue Yonder, and you felt the 15 years. You've been part of those 15 years that Wilfred's been missing the Doctor, and just see that reaction. Uh, Me and my dad got emotional. My dad doesn't get emotional. Um,
I got
it was
emotional
just,
too. I was actually watching
it
this
was
episode with my
perfect.
dad. He was at home, and I was like, I'm gonna watch Doctor Who, okay? So the living room's mine. You can watch it with me if you want, or leave. And then he did watch the episode. I actually quite enjoyed it. And I was telling him about how Bernard Cribbins passed on. Uh, and so this is like the only scene we have of him. And I was just so happy the second I saw him, just like jumping up and down. I was like, "Why are you so happy?" I was like, it's just I love Wilf, and this is like the last time we're gonna see him. So yeah,
It's a
Yeah,
pretty perfect last scene for him, to be honest. Like finally reuniting with the Doctor, finally seeing Donna with her memories back, and
yeah,
just getting everything we wanted out of like a Wilf and Doctor reunion in just like one little scene.
yeah.
It's just
I did love it.
and and the fact he waited, I'm just like, yes, that's Wilfred. He would wait,
like
and they
they
set
even
it
said
up.
it, they set it up earlier, like saying like he'd
Yeah,
like camp himself up with a thermos and like cursing at the Doctor, calling all sorts of things for taking Donna away, and it's just so lovely.
Yeah,
what's what's a really nice detail, is he obviously sees the TARDIS landing, and he hasn't reacted the way he does yet. Um, Obviously he sees Donna. Uh, it's it's like he was holding out hope that he sees the same face. Like he didn't believe the stories by Sylvia and Rose, and then it's like, oh shit, that is the same face. And then obviously he breaks down in tears and hugs 14. Oh, it's
And
just
like one like
perfect.
sort of really neat thing I like is that this episode was legit sort of traumatic for the Doctor. Brought up a lot of childhood and like just recent trauma, and just seeing and hugging Wilfred Mott was enough to make him feel better.
yeah,
Like that's just really sweet. Like he just going, now I feel better. It's just that's the power of Wilf.
yeah,
Just
I also love the salt moment as well. Not because of how big it becomes in the giggle, it will become big in future seasons um, of the show. But like tricking beings outside the universe that kind of act in a supernatural way by using superstition, I'm just like, that makes complete sense. And they would buy it. They would have risked that. And then they like go, well, this, they realize, well, yeah, this is bullshit once they start thinking for themselves.
mm-hmm.
And that leads them to be an even bigger threat. And also, like, I love that it plays on the Doctor's weakness as well. Just after where um, the Doctor thinks are like asking like the questions that we're all having, and it's like the Doctor literally needs to find out these answers because it's almost like an obsession for them, which again feeds into the giggle. Oh, it's just so good, and it's on the edge of the universe, which just in itself sounds ominous, and that uh, adds to that so much danger because of the unknown. Anything could happen. They're on the edge of the fabric of reality. Wild Blue Yonder, so it's perfect. It's actually perfect. And I want Shooty to have an episode like it
It is really
because,
good. It feels like very Moffat in the best way.
yeah, it's like it feels like Moffat had a look over on the script and gave advice.
yeah,
Um,
it's like if you took a Moffat idea and it was written by RTD. Like it has
Well,
that
I mean,
yes,
sort
that's
of
what
like
it is to be fair.
yeah,
Basically that. But I feel like it feels like a Moffat script with all the, like the my arms are too long and all that stuff. That's like classic Moffat and all the mysteries and the idea of the edge of the universe, which is just like so trippy and ominous that feels very like Moffat, but it has the character writing of RTD, like especially with the Flux mention and the Timeless Child, with all that actually kind of that makes it feel like special because it's Moffat, but with RTD's writing of character, which is just the best combination. Moffat's crazy ideas and horror-y ideas, I guess, and RTD's brilliant character writing. It all just gels perfectly. I think.
I just love how it all begins because in the start piece, Donna's like having having a coffee, all chill in a beautiful TARDIS, and she accidentally just flings the mug and she screams, "Oh my god, I did it again!" Um, I feel really bad for the production team. They highlight this as well in Doctor Who Unleashed. They had this huge TARDIS that they just built, and Rusty Davies is like, "You're going to blow that up at the end of the first episode." Yeah, that's what you're going to do. Um, and I do love the idea that uh, that the TARDIS comes back because obviously Wood is a time machine. It understands what events are going to happen, and it comes back with the fucking military music.
Yeah, I wrote in my notes like the TARDIS like just being up in the sky for lights fading into Wild Blue Yonder is so bizarrely cool.
Yeah, and it kind of does that interesting thing that the Doctor can always rely on the TARDIS to appear, but in a very funny way. Um, I love Wild Blue Yonder, and I need it. I need more of that stuff. And I hope with like celestial beings that we're gonna get more of it because I really missed this aspect of Who. We haven't had something this imaginative like since series uh 9.
Yeah, Series 9, yeah, because I think the most, well, of course, we have Heaven Sent, which is like, like the tentpole sort of imaginative episode of the past 10ish years, but like, yeah, this is probably, this, like, people were saying, oh, what does this have to do with an anniversary? But this was, I guess, a celebration of Doctor Who being good, I guess.
Well, to me, like all three specials, because people, well, the giggles kind of like you could expect from an anniversary. People are like, this didn't feel like an anniversary. I'm like, well, it's not an anniversary in the traditional sense where you get multiple doctors and such, although technically you do in the giggle. It's taking the key aspects of the show, what makes it unique to all the other shows, like Star Trek, for example, and why nothing could ever replicate it. Uh, Something like Wild Blue Yonder shows the very imaginative side of Doctor Who, how creative you can really get with these very simple concepts, and how all you need to do is just think of the ideas, uh, be adventurous as such, allow your curiosity to flow. And then the first episode is obviously celebrating the fourth Doctor comic strip, and then we know the third episode. So I'd say this episode shows a key aspect of Doctor Who that makes it attractable. And it has worked again on viewers. It has worked
Attractable
again.
or attractive?
Um, is attractable a word? I think it is.
I mean, I think it is, but I don't think it's what you're trying to say. I think you mean attractive. What makes it attractive to other people?
I'm trying to think like what's the attractive is probably better. Um,
Either way.
Anyway, yeah, this episode deals with a lot of this would be the hardest for people to get into, but even here, like people were very interested. It's got very good viewership and very high retention, so it's clearly pulled off, and it's hopefully going to put minds at ease for RTD and co. That these are okay. The audiences can handle it. They're not monkeys.
Hmm.
They're not monkey.
I think as well it all being told under the allegory of mental health is just very excellent as well, and it's very subtle. Yeah, I love Wild Blue Yonder. I really love it. It's quite hard to go into a lot of it because it's not a lot happens, but the ideas that are there are done very excellently.
It's what the kids these days would call a bottle episode, I guess. It's all in one
like,
location and just exploring the characters. I mean, the villains are played by the two main actors. It's just four actors in the entire episode, other than obviously the final scene. So it's all like very much just confining those two characters and exploring them in interesting ways. Mostly the Doctor is explored and trying to see the impact of what's happened to him and how, you know, how his mind is so overwhelmed with everything that's happened to him recently, and how he needs to process it and get through it in a way, and but he just doesn't let himself, which is a big point in this episode, and obviously the giggle.
The giggle.
Hmm.
Trying to think what else we can say about this. I don't think there is much else.
Did we talk about how the Doctor is now gay? Apparently,
Hey,
Well,
not
I,
gay. They've been attracted to all kinds of genders.
yeah,
But
but
most
I know, but
definitely pan.
everyone's like, I know, like everyone. You had like a bunch of thumbnails, like 14 going like, I like men now.
Yeah, the Doctor would never date men before
well,
because
I,
the character that literally said was in series 10 that that they're not concerned about the stupid like ideas relating to gender roles and whatnot. But yeah, very much
yeah,
important.
yeah. To me, it was kind of like a case of going, yes, the Doctor is pan, but also like to show that this Doctor's a lot more open
Yeah.
to their emotions, and is which I think will tie further to Shooty, where Shooty's also in a nightclub, which you wouldn't expect a Doctor to really be in because they like to be aloof.
Yeah, I think it's just the kind of thing where it feels so much like they're setting up the idea of the giggle when he retires basically, of him just being like he is more in touch with his emotions, so this would be the Doctor to process all that before moving on to being shitty. It just makes perfect sense for me in a writing sense for how to do that, like subtly introducing that, and like what was it in the Star Beast that he said that he loved. What is it? He said that he loves Wilf, right? And it was like,
Yeah, yeah,
He talks about Donna, says, "Oh, I absolutely love her," and he goes, "Oh, do I say stuff like that now?"
yeah, yeah,
And when he thinks he's going, he goes, "I love that man."
yeah,
Like he's
yeah,
yeah. Like it's
like the
all
whole
like
point.
him being more understanding of his emotions, and so it's like this is the perfect Doctor to settle down and work through his emotions.
Yeah,
It also sets him apart from the 10th Doctor, and obviously due
yeah,
to
because
the stuff he's went through.
10 was very like closed off, and I thought he like could barely even say the word love out loud. Like, he was not that much of an emotional person, or at least
I mean, yeah, him finally saying it to Rose before getting cut off was a big moment for him because he's never been one to say that. He felt very much like a closed off person, and Rose was the one to get through to him.
yeah.
yeah. Um, yeah. So I'm trying to think. If there's obviously the music's good, but we've kind of gone over the music for Gold in general. I'm trying to just think what else we could say about Wild Blue Yonder.
I think that's good enough. We can talk about the
Yeah,
giggle now.
the giggle. Oh, the giggle. Um, the giggle.
Okay, Jeb.
So, 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 so the giggle. It's very interesting. The giggle's actually a sequel to the 1967 serial uh, called The Celestial Toymaker, which most of it is missing. You only have one episode, and that's the final one. Um, and it's basically a sequel to that story where the toy maker has returned and wants to have another game with the Doctor, and he's using Earth as the playground. Essentially, that's just of it. And again, very excellent episode. It had a fucking lot to do, like an insane amount to handle, but I think it pulls it off. And I think a lot of the stuff that people are taking issue with, I think, are just understandable, but I think they're just missing things that the specials established and what the show established prior as well. But we'll get into that. Um, I think we should start with really the toy maker, given our central figure of this. Um, the toy maker is brought back excellently. They fit right into New Who, despite being what some might feel to be outdated because they're based on the stereotypes around Mandarin Chinese. Um, and Neil Patrick Harris was probably the best casting you could get. He plays the camp aspect of the toy maker. the sinister aspect about us both perfectly, and the toy maker feels like very formidable due to Neil Patrick Harris' Tennant interactions, and feels very vengeful. And as a villain, he kind of felt mostly unstoppable because obviously he's only bound to the rules of the game. And the way he torments the Doctor by using the trauma against him was brilliant as well. The only criticism I really have of the toy maker is the way they were just finished kind of felt a bit abrupt. Um, it kind of felt very oddly quickly paced. Could have done a bit longer.
Yeah,
But I
the
felt,
catch scene is a bit odd. I think that's the only
yeah,
scene that I have any issue with in the entire episode. It just feels odd.
yeah. But overall, the toy maker's excellent. I don't know if I think we'll see the toy maker in the future. Maybe not under RTD, but certainly at some point because it's just an interesting villain.
Yeah, like thing is, like the common sort of consensus is that the idea of the toy maker was always super interesting, but the execution in the original story was kind of so-so. But like the
Well, I
idea
also
of this,
imagine that like for 67, it's very hard to do that idea because it's such a trippy
Yes.
concept, and for 67, with the budget that Doctor Who has always had, it would be hard. But with the current budget and with the current day technology, it just works really well. Anyway, go on. Sorry to interrupt.
you know, like the idea of this, and I guess like this godlike figure who uses his powers to just fuck with everyone and make them play games. I guess torment them and has his own little pocket universe. It's just that's such an interesting idea for a Doctor Who villain, especially as the show expanded and introduced other eternal sort of villains. Like, because like it does make you wonder why wasn't he brought back sooner? Because I know there was plans for it, but like now that he's brought back, honestly, it's like, hmm, uh, it's sort of like. Hmm. Well, now he's like. I'd actually argue he's like one of the best villains we've had. Like, such a fantastically camp villain that like is just so well done here, and like it's just fascinating. Like, because RTD like brings back like a lot of classic Tara, so. But here it's like you have a villain who only appeared once, and even their original appearance is only 1/4 complete. And yet you've turned them into basically like a modern day classic villain. Like
Yeah.
it just really speaks to the idea of the toy maker.
And like, I'm glad they didn't hold back either. Like, it felt like they took a bit of inspiration from Tim Burton's writing. Because Tim Burton's quite fantastical in how they write and likes to do very dark, creepy aspects with it. And my mum, who huge fan of Tim Burton, was watching the episode and saw the puppet scene um, with the giant toy maker, and then obviously the mini puppets with with Stooky Sue and the kids. It was like this is straight out of Tim Burton, and I'm just really glad they didn't hold back on that aspect. Wasn't afraid to make it creepy, yet works with how the toy maker behaves. And then you have it go very simplistic with just a game of cards. Um, and you have that tension because obviously a game of cards is you have this probability of winning. You could very easily lose here. Your luck of the draw, and you have no control over it. You can't influence this, and the toy maker won't because this is what they're binded by. Which just made it more threatening. And also the idea of using Stooky Bill implanting the giggle through the screens, and then doing the very idea of the ultimate game where everyone thinks they're right, so everyone wins and everyone loses at the same point, meaning the game never ends. I'm like, yes, that's very clever as well, and incorporate a lot of modern day politics uh, into it, like anti-vaxxers with with oh, what's her name? Then what's her name?
The
Um,
the
The
news
new
person.
yeah
who said, oh yeah, she was saying that the device was like a hoax or whatever.
Oh yeah, Trinity Wells. Yeah.
There we go. Who was obviously in the first RTD run.
Mhm.
Then you got people like, oh, I pay road tax on this. I own this road. This is mine. I do with it what I like. You have bigotry, the biases to people like
There's
with
the Boris Johnson parody.
Boris Johnson parody. You had Kate obviously be bigoted towards Shirley in a very common way that happens for people um, with wheelchairs that are not paralysed. Um, what else? What else? What else? What else? What else about the toy maker? And what I really like about the toy maker as well, um, the ruthlessness of just blasting 14. Like, I, I've already played the game with one doctor. I've played the game with you. You're out. I'm getting the next one. Like a
Yeah,
villain that just doesn't
that
fuck
angle is
around.
so hard.
Yeah, doesn't fuck around. It's weird to just kill. And how you feel every person's in danger, like Mel, even though you know Mel's returning. Donna, um, Kate, and so on. And the best moment is obviously Spice Up Your Life, which brings a return to the camp music sequence for RTD, but uses a very good choice of song to make it seem very threatening and sinister as he just dances with no care, killing unit soldiers by turning them into balls and stuff like that. And he's racist. Toymaker is racist.
He is.
They just make him casually racist.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in the first scene of the episode as well, I was so taken aback. Like, oh, okay. We're doing this. That's okay.
yeah, just does a German accent,
The
maybe a
German
parallel
accent
to
was
Nazism.
hilarious. I know that people on Twitter complain about it, like, oh, it's so annoying. Dude, it's hilarious. Because it's especially because I've seen Neil Patrick Harris do that exact accent in How I Met Your Mother many times as a joke, and see him do it as a toy maker. I'm just like, oh my god, yes, I love how campy he can be. It's just perfect for the character. I love it.
Like, it's just so silly. Like when he's doing the whole speech about the first game, and he says everyone loves.
It's
And
a
The
it's just
ball.
balls.
I also I also love the bit of sexism where Donna's like enough, and then Toymaker's like, I wonder which one of you had the balls.
Yeah.
It's so fucking great. I love the Toymaker, and obviously the whole scene where Toymaker forces Dr. Donna to watch the history of the companion since Donna, and then just the whole, for example, like Clara was killed by a birth, and he just reacts like, "What the fuck?" And then Doctor justifies it and just goes, "Well, that's all right." And it gets like bigger and bigger. Oh, Neil Patrick Harris. Bring Neil Patrick Harris back as the Toymaker at some point, please. Like not instantly, but in the future. Just leave the door open for him. Um. Oh. What else? What else? Kate was good. Well, serviceable. Good. Nothing really wrong. Um, Shirley was excellent. Shirley was very strong.
I really
Mel
like
was good.
Kate's monologue where she just went nuts without the
Yes.
device, and she just became casually
Yes.
ableist.
Yeah. I enjoyed that. Mel was very good. Like it. You could also tell that she's like going to be bigger in series 14. But I like the idea that she came back to Earth after the death of the person she married, um, and now has a job in UNIT. And like it feels like a different take on a companion returning where they're just like, yeah, I've got an established life, and despite having nothing, I built this for myself, and I'm not resentful of you. I'm not actively seeking for you. I'm just working for you now.
Hmm.
And Bonnie Langford does that very well. Um, and I also like it incorporates Bonnie Langford's actual experience because she's very heavy on Broadway, and she does the singing for the notes.
Hmm.
So I like that aspect. I need to pee quick, so I'm going to let you two talk.
Okay. My cat woke up, so I'm showing stream that he's awake.
I was gonna say that I appreciate that, like, when they first brought a companion back from a classic series, it was Sarah Jane who was like, it's like she's the companion, she's the most beloved, and like she got her own. There's a reason why she got her own spin-off show. She's that beloved, but like now it's like someone like Mel who, in the classic series, was during like the worst period of the show where never got her first appearance. She just showed up, and then she just kind of got shunted out the door when she left. So and like it's just she wasn't very beloved, or like she why RTD brought her back. Like he wanted to try and like reinvent her, which is good to like do that. But also I also like that when 14 first sees her, he's like full on like super happy. Like he doesn't judge them based on like it isn't like how I don't know how to phrase this, but like he doesn't like his reaction isn't based on how popular the companion is. Like he just treats them all like old friends. Like even if he only briefly traveled with her, he's like still super happy to see her. It's like he still loved her, and it's just really sweet to see like probably one of the least beloved companions get like this treatment of like yeah, you were my best mates, yeah. It's like just really sweet.
Yeah. I don't know much about Mel, but I agree with that idea. Yeah, I don't know, because Jeb was leading the charge, and now I don't know what to do. Oh, he's back. Yes, Jeb, you lead the charge again. You do it.
Okay. Where were you two?
Well, Tim
I
was
was
just
saying,
talking about Mel.
Oh,
I was just
okay.
saying how like she was like one of the less beloved companions, and how she's been brought back to like reinvent her, and like reaction like doesn't treat her as like this super unbeloved companion. It's still so like just treats her like like any other companion, which is sweet.
Yes. And I like it establishes that unit now goes to former companions for a job, which Donna has one, based on her being offered and then Donna being alive.
I like how they sort of build up to that. How like in episode 1, like in like the Starbeast, they kept saying, "Oh, my job, lost my job by throwing coffee on the computer."
Your mic's cutting off a lot.
Oh, for goodness sake! But in the Starbeast, they kept foreshadowing like she lost her job throwing coffee on the computer, and like she's like, "Oh, that's how I lost my job," and how it ends with her getting a job at
Yeah,
like
100K.
holiday.
Yeah, 100K a year. Like
120, right? She said double that and whatever else.
Yeah.
And she just accepted it, and Donna was so to taken aback, like, oh shit, you took back that, you accepted that offer, okay.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah.
What else? I guess we kind of get to the meat of bi-generation. To set out essentially what happens. 14th gets shot with a laser made of galvanic radiation, which is something that was in Midnight. It was the radiation outside. So nice Easter egg. So 14th gets struck with a laser. Obviously, the expectation is they regenerate. The next Doctor comes in. This time, they do regenerate, except the 15th Doctor needs to be pulled out of them, which is quite funny.
Yeah.
And they get half of their clothing, which is why Ncuti's in underwear and a shirt with a tie that's not tied up.
But it's odd though, because they both are wearing the shoes.
Yes. We'll ignore that. And obviously they pull out the Doctor. And then they go through the motions, and at the end, the hammer smacks second TARDIS because it's under the rules of play. A lot of people had mixed feelings on the bi-generation, and I'm not going to blame them, because it's not the best conveyed thing in the world, and the episode goes very fast at that point. So, by generation established to be a myth, I think it's only possible when we see it purely because of the toy maker.
Yeah, I thought
I
that
feel
was
like
kind of clearly the idea,
Yeah,
because like they said, oh, it's a myth and whatnot, and like because of the way the toy maker has been established prior in this episode, it feels like the rules of what is, a myth have been bent, and like what used to be a myth is just now like the state of play for things.
yeah, and I feel like they kind of confirm it when 15th goes, oh, these are the rules of play. Gets a second TARDIS by
Yeah,
smacking the TARDIS.
yeah,
Like, obviously, in the actual universe, that's never happening. Um, so that's why by generation, I think it's just going to be a very extreme circumstance thing. You kind of need beings of that immense power, which are very rare.
Yeah, like I
Um,
prefer it if this was like a one-time thing, or at least like a very rare thing that can happen. I wouldn't want
yeah,
every Doctor to buy generator. It's just I feel like this
yeah,
should be like the first, like this should be a test run basically to see how they can try and work it.
yeah. Like, I do understand also people just not liking the concept by generation because the argument there it should be like passing on the key, so this kind of does it in a roundabout way. I can understand that. I don't fully agree, but that's me. The other thing people get confused by is, well, what does that mean essentially for the world? Because there's two doctors, two TARDISes. A lot of people get very confused. People seem to think that the Doctor's basically cloned. There's two Doctors now, a bit like Meta Crisis and Tenth. That is not what happens. What happens is 15th is pulled back from when they should have originally regenerated into this moment. So they're forced to come in early. Now, we know this because 15th says that they're doing rehab out of order, and the way they're so upbeat and such because of the actions 14th takes, which means 15th has to be from a future point in time. They
yeah,
are aware of future events. So, with that in mind, they're not a clone. There's still only one Doctor. They're one and the same, and it is confirmed already by RTD that the TARDIS, the second TARDIS that appears, is the same TARDIS. So that means it's a time loop. So we'll get to the point uh, where 15 was originally meant to appear, and is then pulled back. We might actually never see it on screen, but that
Yeah, like
will
probably won't
exist.
see it. Yeah,
I think we probably won't. I mean, I'll be fine if it's a of 14 and that, but like if because like but like you can sort of infer that like he sort of goes off, has his happy he goes off, has his happy ending, then he does the whole fading away thing. Like I'm fine with that being off screen.
yeah,
Yeah, I feel like what happens is 14 gets the body wary because of natural age, goes to regenerate, and then pulled back due to the toy maker logic. People could go, oh, well, that's lazy. Well, I don't know what you want us, what you want the toy maker to be, because the toy maker just doesn't exist by the natural laws. That's kind of the established figure, what makes him a villain. So if you're going to start doing that, you're going to undermine the toy maker. I don't know, but yeah, and people are like now, well, 14 should step in if there's invasion on Earth, and I'm like, no, because if they do step in, they will start to go stepping in elsewhere because the Doctor can't help her. And if that happens, 15th is fundamentally different. And if that happens, you've just broken a fixed point. And then people are like, why is this a fixed point? 14th knows their future events and can see it. That's established to be a fixed point, buddy.
That's a constant
That's for
thing.
sure.
Like he can't mess with his own personal timeline. He can't mess with his
Yes.
personal time stream.
Yes.
yeah. Like it's
It will break time.
basically RTD managed to write a cheat code for the Doctor to never have to get this Doctor never have to get involved and get his happy ending. In a way where if he tries to get away from his happy ending, he's just gonna fuck with time, which is not what something he wants to do. So it's smart from RTD.
Yeah, it's like the Doctor has to accept that if they get involved all the time is fucked.
Yeah.
Um, And this isn't new for the Doctor. I don't know why people pretend it is. Like, oh, they're allowing people to die. The Doctor allowed Gallifrey to stay gone. The Doctor allowed the fires of Pompeii to occur to save just one family. The Doctor accepts events by the rules of time. This is an established thing. And also, it helps that the Doctor has seen, through evidence of 15, things turn out okay. The world doesn't end. And they are not responsible for the deaths that do occur because they're doing something mandatory to ensure they can do better in the future, because 14th was making mistakes. And if that continues, that could have deadly consequences. So
Yeah.
I think it works very well. I don't really see any issues in it. I just think a lot of it comes down to just fundamental misunderstandings of how the concept works. And people are also saying that, oh, RTD said all the Doctors biogenerated at that point in time. He just said that's his.
That was just a theory. That
Yeah.
was like a headcanon he threw out during the commentary. Like it's
Yeah, and as like he has done this before, and we always go by the standard of, if it's not established in the episode or in the canon, it is not the case. He has even said that he hasn't incorporated that idea. Like, he explicitly says that. So, and the people are like, oh, this is how it ties. It tells us the TARDIS. No, it doesn't. Those are different timelines. Hello, priceless edits. What part did you get of the Bigen? You've literally just missed
Jeb
mainly
explaining
me
it.
go
Yeah.
over it. I'm happy to explain it because a lot don't
I
get
mean,
it.
yeah, if you missed it, you can just rewind. We're not gonna go over it again. But yeah.
I'll explain it to you again, just for you.
No, Jeb.
Well,
That's
if it's
not-
something small, I'll explain it. If it's the entire concept, I'd say go back 10 minutes. The reason why it's been me explaining it is because it's a very timey-wimey concept, and that's where I seem to have an advantage. Because what's your issue then? If it's only small, like what aspect's tripping you up? You forgot trousers. I just feel like 50 was just living in the moment. That raw confidence, just like, yeah, I don't have trousers. I know I don't have trousers. Who gives a fuck? I'm just going to do my thing.
Yes.
I think that should lead us naturally into Shuti Gatwa, because I feel like that's a natural development. What an introduction for a Doctor, like straight out the gate. Like, it felt like he has been the Doctor for years. Like, he's always been the Doctor. I don't think I've ever felt that way about a Doctor introduction, even with Matt Smith.
it's like the thing is, this is probably the hardest Doctor introduction they had to do, because usually, like with other Doctors, they get like a 40-ish minute episode on their own to just establish their own thing, and most of the time they do it pretty perfect. Like Tennant and Smith, they establish themselves flawlessly. But here, Shuji had 15 minutes to establish himself, and during a multi-Doctor story with David Tennant, and he was thrust right into the action, and he just does it like that.
Yeah, like the way he introduces himself, and like the charisma he oozes to Mel, to Donna, and then he just walks with Tennant with the "I challenge you to a game," and immediately he has that presence on stage that I think a lot of people were worried because they only seen probably Sex Education.
I mean, if they've seen
for
Sex
him.
Education, I wouldn't be worried. Like,
Yeah, like-
him in Sex Education, he's by far the best actor in that show. And that's not because the other actors are bad. He's just insanely good.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were concerned because obviously the characters, at least from what I've seen, is very flamboyant,
Yeah.
camp, and such. So they're like, how can they have an assertive presence that isn't so camp? And like immediately, that concern was gone. I just shoot out one man. Like, I just don't. I can't fault that performance. And like people go, well, Tennant upstaged the Doctor introduction. I'm like, no, because
No, actually, I feel like Shooty upstaged Tennant in that moment.
Yeah.
From that
Yeah,
point on.
honestly.
Yeah, and like as well, I see this as the same extent as Matt Smith's first ever scene as the Doctor at the end of Time. Like we still got the whole episode for the Christmas special to really sink our teeth into 15th. This was just a taster, an extended one at that. Um, and I think a lot of people have the concern as well. Oh, 14th got a happy ending, which is going to make it difficult for 15th to justify. And I'm like, no, because 15th is what causes that happy ending for a start. And also, I feel like the Doctor's earnest. The Doctor is very much earnest. I think all the characters involved, Donna has earned it, Rose has earned it, Sylvia's earned it. There's been so much torment and such. And if you are going to revisit that whole aspect that you tied up quite neatly at the time, I think this is the ideal way to do it. And an ideal way to progress these characters naturally and have an ending that works with these characters but allows a fresh start to the show, because this is obviously meant to act as a conclusion to New Who,
Yeah.
and this is how you basically reset the Doctor as a character. Because for anyone new to the show, you got to deal with the Flux, you got to deal with Time or Gallifrey being fucking destroyed twice. Um, you got the hybrid, like it's very difficult, and that starts piling and piling, and this just allows it to be a clean slate with a natural ending. Progress. Here's Ncuti Gatwa. He's going to be the best Doctor we've seen. I've said it. I said it straight away. We all said it. That he is. He's going to be the best one. My mum said it. My dad has said it. It's going to happen. Watch this space.
Now, I want to say a few things. As people may have noticed, I've been a bit more quiet today than usual, mostly because Tennant and Jeb are much bigger Doctor Who fans than I am. And so because of that, I've not had much to say. But I do have many thoughts about Ncuti Gatwa as the Doctor and just that entire ending as a whole that I think is just so perfectly done. Like, I absolutely love, for one, like, Ncuti being in his trousers. In his trousers? No, in his pants. What? I'm trying to be British. In his underwear, okay? I'm not gonna be British. I'm not gonna cave in. Anyway, being in his underwear, I thought it was so fucking brilliant because of the fact that it's never brought up. And he's so confident. Like, I've seen a lot. I think, I think it was you, Tin, right? That you said, like, oh, why does he look so, how does he look so confident in his underwear and the TARDIS? Like, how does he look so good? And it's just like, it's because Ncuti Gatwa as a person and as an actor, he's just so confident in himself. And I feel like that works so perfectly with him coming after this Doctor that has, you know, has found himself, is working on himself to become a better person and understand the impact of everything that has happened in his life and moving on from it. And kind of also getting a clean slate, because we've always had this Doctor that's like this very you know, very heavily burdened by their past, by their guilt, by their trauma and their actions, because a lot of what the Doctor did. I mean, I've only watched New Who, and I only know the Doctor from, you know, the first moment was after the Time War had happened, and after he killed his entire fucking species to stop the Daleks. It's like, that's a lot of baggage that he's carrying and that he needs to work through. And seeing Ncuti be so confident as like the end of after we have the end of a, you know, an arc for basically Doctor Who as a show, to deal with that trauma, and RTD just being like, look, this, he can move on with from that trauma. It still impacts him and affects him, but he can still like live with after all that has happened, and he can process it, and he can become a better version of himself. And it's just, that's what Ncuti is, that version of the Doctor that's so optimistic and happy and confident in himself. Like, he can fucking wear his, just be in his underwear in the TARDIS and he looks so confident because he doesn't care. He's assured in who he is, which isn't the same for, can't be said for any of the previous Doctors in the revival with New Who, from like 9 to 13. They were all like, they had a lot of issues with themselves, with their personalities, with a lot of the actions that they've done. And 15 doesn't seem like that. He seems like he's moved on from it because of 14 having worked on himself, as you know, the Bio generation makes a point of. And it just makes a perfect way to do this, like, backdoor pilot for a reboot where it's like this is the new version of Doctor Who with a doctor that doesn't have to carry this burden. So he, in a way, RTD doesn't really have to like bring up this type of lore into this new version of Doctor Who, this rebooted version of Doctor Who. But it's still the same Doctor, and we've realized how he's gotten to this point. So if you start watching Doctor Who from the church on Ruby Road, you're gonna be perfectly fine. You're gonna understand everything. But if you've come from the revival and you watched all of this and you watched 14's arc, it encapsulates all the Doctor Who is, all the Doctor has gone through all this time of him trying to fix everything and causing a lot of problems and that affecting him so hard, and him finally understanding what that means and what that does to him, like him finally taking care of himself instead of trying to take care of other people. I think it works so perfectly. I think Ncuti Gatwa is the perfect actor to bridge the revival to the Disney era. I don't like calling it the Disney era, but New Who from New Who. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
Because Ncuti Gatwa has that personality and that idea of being so confident in himself that you can see that he's not carrying that burden anymore. He feels like everything like that is lifted from him, and he still carries that weight of being the Doctor. You can see when he's talking to Tennant's Doctor, and comforting him, and I could feel that he had gone through everything that he mentions, like Sarah Jane's death and everything else, like all that we've gone through. I feel like that person that I'm watching is the Doctor. He has gone through all that, but that it doesn't weigh as hard on him as it used to. And that's just like insanely great as a testament to like how good Ncuti Gatwa is as an actor, that he can just bring all that history without making it seem like it's burdening him anymore, when that's been a huge part of the Doctor, how all that history burdens them. And so yeah, I really love Ncuti Gatwa's casting. I think it was perfect, and I'm so excited to see him in Church and Ruby Road.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I'm just going to ask this question. They both have two hearts.
Yeah, they
They-
are
they
both
don't-
they are both this like the same Doctor. 14 is gonna become 15 at some point. They're not like clones of each other, pulled like half of each other.
If if they had one heart, they'd be dead.
Yeah, as we've learned from that episode with 10. I forgot the name of the episode. 10 and Rose.
Shakespeare Code and
Oh, is Shakespeare?
Power 3 as well.
Oh, oh yeah.
For 11th.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, like honestly, I with Shooty, I was like, as soon as I heard Russell go, we made our choice, and then Shooty came into the room as the last person, and he changed Russell T Davies' mind. I was like, we got something special on our hands. We've got a very inspired casting. Because no one was thinking of Ncuti Gatwa, if we're going to be honest, was in any of the bookies. Not a single person was like Ncuti Gatwa should be the Doctor, except for probably Ncuti Gatwa and Ncuti Gatwa's agent. And to come in, take the stage, deliver a performance like that, and based on what we see from the church on Ruby Road, just that electricity. They're just electric. There we go. And they bring back that really adventure aspect that you're going on an adventure with the Doctor, you're running with them. And that's what made Tennant so popular with the masses and Smith as well, is they felt that kind of adventurous, but also like person you're just fascinated by. And I also love my favourite aspect of Ncuti Gatwa is just how blood 15th could get. Like when Donna goes, "Oh, you're the older one in 14th Degrees," and he's like, "Love you, get out." I was like, "Yes." I hope that comes more often, because I can imagine a Dalek trying to assert something if 50's taking none of their bullshit, and I can imagine Ncuti Gatwa just nailing that.
He's Scottish. They're always blunt.
Yeah, and like, I'm very excited for what is likely going to be this big grave scene on Church of Ruby Road at night, where you see the tears rolling down Shooty's eyes, and just like the frames alone, you get so much out of it. And to see that scene play out, especially, I think is going to be probably one of the best Doctor moments we'll see. He's that good. I just Shooty Gatwa, man. In a special with Neil Patrick Harris, David Tennant, Catherine Tate, Yasmin Finney, Jacqueline King, so on. It's Shooty Gatwa I can't get out of my fucking head. In that entire episode, it's him.
Like in 15 minutes, he's managed to basically perfectly embody the Doctor, and it's just. I'm not gonna. I don't like to really make any wild assumptions. The next Tom Baker and the next David Tennant as the Doctor you think of, like when you think of Doctor Who, you'll think of Ncuti Gatwa. I get that feeling from him. He just is Doctor Who, like that sort of thing.
Yeah, I said it shortly after he was cast and more things come out that he's the next big one. The way he engages with the fans as well, the way he's engaged with the show, and he's clearly so happy to be the Doctor. And it's even like he's bringing his own personal touch to it. Like he sees himself as the Doctor because leaving Rwanda due to the genocide and feeling like all alone in the UK, especially as being a queer black person as well. It's just so fascinating the way he thinks. He survived a genocide and he's experienced this. And he's like, that is what the Doctor has survived. I am the Doctor, he is me. And even his Sonic Screwdriver even has a Rwandan proverb on it. And he's like nice little personal touches as well. Really adds to this incarnation we're going to see. It really makes us connect more with Ncuti Gatwa as a person. I just hope he stays for longer than 3 seasons, and I think he will. I think he's going to break that 3-season curse, so to speak.
I imagine he'll stay for at least 4. I imagine 4
Yeah.
will probably be his good number.
Yeah, I want him for. Honestly, I want him for a long time. I understand. Obviously, Doctor Who's a very demanding thing, and he might want to do other projects. But I think they're finding a nice balance at the moment, and I hope we really treasure him as we should, because I can see very quickly, straight after Doctor Who, he's going to be everywhere, in the same way that Tennant became. I still can't believe we got Ncuti Gatwa because of Sex Education being such a mainstream show, and he was obviously in Barbie. The fact we even got Ncuti Gatwa, Doctor Who has attracted that talent. It's just so promising for the show and its longevity. And yeah, he does acknowledge the memes as well. Like the Sonic Screwdriver being called a remote, he listens to the fans and he engages with the memes and everything, and he takes it on board. It's just so great. And I think as well, especially for people of color and people who are in the LGBT plus, to have a black queer actor play the Doctor and be so visible in that aspect, it makes it feel like they belong more. And I think it's absolutely vital that a black queer individual is playing such a titular character that is typically a white, cis, straight oriented in terms of acting. And it makes huge steps for the show and adds that visibility to future generations and allows the next generations to inspire to be the Doctor, that they can be the Doctor. The next step from here is honestly a trans individual to eventually play the Doctor when that happens as well.
Yeah, that's probably the dream. That'll probably be a few incarnations down the line, but now it seems a lot more possible than like 10 issues. So
Introverted Robot, I don't think you should watch Classic Who before you start New Who. It is very much a different show, and if you watch it all 26 seasons just to get into New Who, that'll be hard. It's especially like if you watch New Who, you're gonna be much more interested to watch Classic Who than the opposite. That's just my view on it. Like you should start from series 1 of the revival.
To give both you as the Doctor Who connoisseur, I've watched both eras.
Yeah, you are a nerd. We agree.
Because of how modern media is, although I don't know your personal tastes, New Who's probably better. You're going to be in a much more of a comfort zone, so it's better to digest. If you are going to explore Classic Who, oh, okay, well, tell your friend to fuck off. That's what I'd do. But if you are going to watch Classic Who, it's difficult because
I mean,
first
especially
Doctor's
if you
very
start,
slow.
yeah, especially if you start from the start of Classic Who. I've tried that many times, and I find it very hard to get into.
Like very commonly, a lot of people say like if you go Star Classic Who, you the third Doctor's era. That's like a lot more
It,
fast paced. It's a lot more. It's closer to what we assume Doctor Who is now.
Hmm.
yeah, Inferno's the one I get. It's the one I hear the most. But then again, you kind of miss that character building from prior. It is the do what you like, I guess, but like don't expect Classic Who to be like series arcs design. They're very much individual serials with some connective tissue by the character right in.
Especially if you're watching like the first two Doctors era, where there's entire story gone.
Yeah. Oh, you're on series 3. Okay, so you're on the first Doctor's final serial. You're fine then. You made
Oh
through
yeah,
the slowest part.
if you've made it through that, that's yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna get the ball. You're gonna enjoy a lot of stuff in the second Doctor era that's not been destroyed, like Two of the Silent Man. That's a great one. That's a classic. And then once you get to third Doctor era, you're kind of in familiarity. Yeah, you're fine. You're fine. You're gonna take forever to get to New Who though.
Yeah.
You are gonna. I don't like. Are you watching six? Are you watching 6 year for series 14 already? And then watching Classic Who for the build up, or are you waiting? Uh, yeah, series 1 is very slow. The Daleks is excellent. Daleks is the highlight, and it kind of saved that series or season quite literally as well. But yeah,
I
you're
like how
watching.
Priceless Edits has just been crushing on Shooty Gatwa hard and just being very sad that Shooty's queer.
Oh, I've just clocked. Oh yeah, yeah, I've just clocked because you kept saying gay guy. And I'm like, wait, what's the issue that they're gay? I was like,
It's
oh wait, yeah.
because I assume Priceless Edits is a woman.
This
That's the issue.
it's like the whole Russell Tovey thing where like Ting crushes on Russell Tovey, and I'm
What?
like, he's gated. Do you not remember that?
Yeah,
I
she's
wasn't.
gay
I
too.
wasn't
That was
crushing
it.
on him.
Yes, you were. Yes, you was.
No, I wasn't.
Yes, you was. That's how the he's gated came from.
No, it wasn't. No. I remember you just starting to say that, but I wasn't crushing.
Well, there was a
Let me.
reason to say it. I just don't remember what it
Yeah.
was.
Let me get it. Let me get it.
Oh my
I'm here
god,
to
this is
prove.
like a huge trip down memory lane for something that
You.
the audience has no clue about.
He casted Russell Tovey because he wanted a sexy midshipman. And you went LMAO based, he do be kind of cute, not gonna lie. And I said, but he's gay. And then we go into he's gated. And you went, yes, I know you're Munter. And I'm bi.
Wait, quick question. Wait, yeah.
Oh, so
This,
Jeff is
this,
correct.
Oh,
yes. I'm
wait. When did this first start?
25th of October 2021. And this was when you came out as trans as well. And I said he's gated because Russell Tovey doesn't date women. And you are a woman. That and you never understood the joke till just now.
It took 2
You know,
years.
you,
It took 2 years.
Till just now.
you
That's
know
so
that clip of that clip of Danny DeVito in church going, "Oh my God, I get it."
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's the whole point of the joke. Because I was like, what's not clocking? You're trans.
How did I never realise that? Holy shit!
I was just making a basic observation. It wasn't even intended as a joke. It was a genuine observation, and then it became a joke
Became a
because you
joke
just
because
wasn't
you kept
understanding.
not understanding. Yeah, everyone was like, "Oh my god."
Um,
So yeah, I'm glad we figured that out after 2 years, live on
to be
stream
fair,
too.
to be fair, I do want to clarify something. Price's edits. Shooty Gatwa is queer.
Yeah, I don't think he said he's gay. He just said he's queer. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So queer's a very umbrella term. So you might have a chance.
yeah.
You might have a chance.
You never
Because
know.
yeah, you never know. Like
Oh,
he's got Riz, so it'd be pretty easy if he is into woman. Yes, please.
Also, introvert robot, you said your friend's going to make you listen to the audiobooks. Do you mean just for audiobooks, or do you mean all of Big Finish?
I mean,
You're not
there's
listening.
there's just way too much content to
Because if you
consume.
mean all of Big Finish, there's more of that than there is in the entirety of Doctor Who.
Yeah,
Like
you're
you're
not
gonna,
gonna.
like you will age 5 years at least before you can even get to the end of Classic Who.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm,
you're
I'm not
not.
gonna lie. All of
Uh,
You're never gonna start
no,
watching
you're
New
not.
Who. I'm not gonna lie.
Introvert robot. I think you, unless your friend does it through the seven C's to give you Big Finish, that's a lot of money. And also, you'll not get through all the Big Finish. You
Yeah.
literally cannot get through all the Big Finish. That, and to be honest, you don't want to anyway, because they do so much random shit that you're just not going to be interested in.
Like, yeah, it's just go for the more essential stories. Like go maybe like a few Eighth Doctor stories and a few Sixth Doctor stories to get a feel for their Doctors. But aside from that, it's just get on with the main series.
By the
Yeah,
time
I'd
he
rec.
gets to New Who, there's gonna be a 18th Doctor. That's gonna take
Yeah,
way too long.
like I'd recommend stuff that adds to characters that were probably controversial. Well, polarized is probably a better term, or like not very developed. So, eighth and sixth, as Tim said, Derek Jacobi's Master. That's good. You get more of that. John Hurt, War Doctor, although
I
it's not
really
John Hurt for his
liked
name.
the 10th Doctor adventures, ones that I've listened to with Catherine Tate and David Tennant.
Yes, yeah, they're good. Ninth Doctor adventure ones are good as well. I'd recommend them. Honestly, just tell your friend no. I'll do Big Finish in my own time. Just focus on the show. They're not canon anyway.
Yeah.
They're not canon. They don't. They might.
They're their own canon. It's their own separate timeline in that. Hell,
Yeah,
multiple timelines in that because they contradict themselves at many points.
yeah. They don't use any of it. Crisis Edit. You will watch Capaldi as soon as possible.
Capaldi is
Don't worry.
incredible.
Capaldi is my favourite Doctor, and he's the best actor to have ever played the Doctor. Until Shooty comes along and has their full tenure, probably.
Yeah.
But Capaldi, my God, Capaldi. I've met Capaldi as well, and I could take that to my deathbed. So just watch Capaldi.
Yeah.
And Series 8 is a very underrated season. That it can be a bit difficult Series 9, and Series 10 is just perfect.
Series 10 is
Capaldi's
great.
just magnificent all the way through. Heaven sent. Jodie's era, skip. Just skip. If it's very difficult. Jodie's era is very difficult because it's not good writing, and it's not due to Jodie in any capacity.
Yeah.
It's just maybe like if she ever goes to Big Finish, then you maybe this instead. Like
Yeah,
give her like the Sixth Doctor treatment and just give her something to work with.
maybe. Yeah, it's just like my only issue with Jodie. It might be just like how are you gonna tackle it? Because do you go to Timeless Child to the Flux stuff? I don't know. There's just so much, and that was so underdeveloped. Ooh, but yeah, watch Capaldi. Trust me, watch Capaldi.
Yeah.
A lot of people like dropped out of Matt Smith because Capaldi was old Doctor. Now, New Who fans were like, I like the young ones, type deal, which is understandable.
So, it just sounds a little wrong. When you're like,
Sounds nonsense, doesn't it? Capaldi, I love Capaldi. One day Capaldi will choose to return, and I'll be blessed again. Um, I think we should kind of get into from here, if we're finished with the Google, like what looking forward, looking to the future. Like, for example, we got the teaser of The One Who Waits. Uh, what we think series 14 could be like. Um,
I think it could be good. That's my hot take.
I I I want to get into my theory of The One Who Waits because I think I'm very clever.
Okay. I don't
But like,
care
but
enough to
like,
theorize, so you go.
I guess in my predictions, I don't really have any, nor do I want any. Like, basically, after the leaks, how the 60th and the Christmas special basically leaked and told us everything, and now it's like just like it's like I want to know nothing, and I want to just experience it just on its own terms. Like
You,
I mean, like I do fear as who like the one who aside from that, I don't want to know anything.
yeah, like I don't want any more leaks. I don't. After 60th, I'm just like no more, and the Christmas special even. Um, but I have the theory that The One Who Waits is Omega. And it's like, oh my god, everyone theorizes Omega for everything. Wow, this is a bit different to me. Um, so for those who don't know who Omega is one of the founders of the Time Lord Society. They found time travel. They're crucial to the fundamentals of the TARDIS, and uh, in finding time travel, it was theorized that they became lost and died. Actually, they got lost into a different universe and became insane and wanted vengeance and come back into the Doctor's universe. They were in the antimatter universe. They're in like I think they're in 2 serials total. They haven't been seen since the 80s. So my first reason for why it's Omega, The One Who Waits, well, Omega's been waiting since the 80s, and Omega would be waited to enact vengeance at the right moment. Omega's a very cunning character, a very calculated character. And then the fact that they're from a different universe ties into the superstition of the soul and how we're going to see the Toymakers, Legions, and other big beings, as Russell T Davies confirmed. I think that's going to be a big running thing for the future. And Omega ties in perfectly for that. I think this whole focus on timeline shenanigans. Omega's the founder of Time. And I feel like Russell T Davies really wants to explore timelines and go a bit funky with them, a bit abstract. And given these abstract ideas, Omega's a very abstract thing in of itself because of the antimatter universe. It behaves completely differently from ours. And it would scare the toy maker because the toy maker relies on manipulating matter to their own will. Antimatter's the opposite of that. And the final aspect is The One Who Waits seems like a tease for a character that we would know, and we've been waiting to come back. And when you go through the classic Who backlog, you got the Rani, you got the Valiard, you got the Black, I think it's the Black
You've got the
Guardian,
monk.
you got the Monk, but I don't think any quite has that big draw and that big power level
I
as
guess
Omega.
there's also Fenric.
Yeah, Frederick, but I feel like when I think of because the whole point is the toy maker's scared of him, right? And the toy maker literally says how they played with Eternals and made them nothing. So I'm kind of like, well, it's got to be a being outside of our universe, and I feel like the only established one is Omega. And again, Omega's antimatter, which goes against the toy maker's reliance on matter, and that would scare the toy maker.
Hmm.
I feel obviously it's really early. This is just initial thoughts. We're going to get developments on it, but I just really think Omega's returning. And RTD does tease that and ask people to get conversing on who you think is returning or new in terms of the legions and The One Who Waits and such. And that kind of feels like a deliberate setup that we're going to see more classic things. And I think Omega's perfect for it as well with the flux of the timeless child and Gallifrey being destroyed. It just works now with Omega's time more than ever.
Mm.
So I think it is Omega. I think we're going to see Omega with Shooty's Doctor, and it's going to be a classic.
Yeah.
I just want a Mega, man. I just want a Mega. I love a Mega.
We can tell. You just want Omega back.
Yeah, because Rassilon just gets used so much, and I'm like, Rassilon's cool, but Omega's like far more interesting to me. There's so much potential with Omega, like with the Toy Maker. Um,
Yeah, it's
I
like the
see
whole
the
thing,
vision.
like someone pointed out, like bringing back something like the Toy Maker was very because it's been so long that you can just do whatever you want with them now. Like
Yeah,
it's been so long, you can do the same with Omega because he hasn't been around since the 80s.
yeah, exactly. And then obviously we've got the Master tease as well with the tooth. The Master's not going to be in Series 14. That's already been confirmed. They might appear during Shoot's Era. I would like them to, but they're just a future setup. What is interesting is probably who took the tooth, whether it's just like a Series 3 repeat, or like the only other person I can think of is Jig's character. Um, Whoever that may be, we have no idea, but it's going to be camp, probably musical themed, abstract. I'm here for it. I'm here for this with Doctor Who. Um, there's also the Beatles episode that's now been confirmed as well. The 60s episode is going to have the Beatles.
And I'm
Um,
hoping for a Paul McCartney cameo. I will.
Same.
I think
Yeah, I
that
feel
could
like they'll get
actually
one.
happen, and if we do get it, it'll be the coolest fucking thing ever.
And I'm going to be really interested because GT's outfits, a kind of overall mannerism, going forward to show, it seems like music's going to have a big impact, which is probably why they brought Gold back as well.
Mhm.
And he's also,
and also why like one of the first things he adds to the TARDIS is jukebox.
yeah, and he's. It sounds like he's going to be very into jazz and such as well. He gives that. Not this is a racist, please don't cancel me. It's just like the theme has jazz in it as well, and obviously jukebox jazz is very common. And then you got the Beatles as well, which is very experimental, contemporary. I think these all just feeding into a general theme for his era. I'm very much looking fucking forward to that, and I hope the Beatles is used very well. I can see like a very imaginative way the Beatles is used as a threat, um, like their music, and I'm just like, oh, interested. Are they going to do the Helter Skelter thing maybe? With the Devil's Cord. I think that episode's called the Devil's Cord. So I'm very excited. I'm very excited for the future. Um, I've never been this excited. Doctor Who's like, as the title of our eco stream says, Doctor Who is so back.
It is.
It
So
is back
bad.
on the map. I
Yeah.
just, and then we're gonna have future spin-off setups, and RTD's aware of like how spin-offs for Star Wars and that are failing, so they're doing too much, and he understands. I'm like, yes, thank God. All the ingredients are there. Millie Gibson look excellent and plays excellently as Ruby by the clips. The Goblin King song. We haven't even mentioned the Goblin King song.
The Goblin song is genuinely a banger of a song, and I fucking love it. And it's so camp, and it's so what I want Doctor Who to be. It's perfect.
Question: given there's only three people in chat interacted. Has any of you three listened to the Goblin song? I'd be very disappointed if you haven't. I don't even like pop music, and I love this.
I mean, I wouldn't call
This
it pop.
well, people say it's pop. I don't know
I
what to
think
call
that's
it, but
stupid.
it hit no one iconic. You have TC. Oh, you're gonna have to. It's on the Dot2 Twitter. There's also on the channel. Listen to the song. I'm not going to tell you what it's about. Introverted Robot U2.
It's
Just
about a
search Goblin King
goblin.
song.
Just the Goblin
Uh,
song. That's the name of the song. Goblin song. The Goblin song.
I'm not going to tell you what it's about.
Just
Because I think
watch it. It's perfect.
it's a 2 minute song, so we're going to talk about other things. You watch us drink. Fuck yourself. Do it now, and then come back in 2 minutes, 3 minutes. We'll talk about other things in that time. and I want your reaction. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do something experimental. We're doing a Dot 2 thing. We're doing something new. Trust me. Dramatic. Same for you, introvert robot, if you can. What else should we talk about? Oh, e, oh,
So true,
e,
Jeb.
oh. I do like the idea that the Toy Makers Legions have decided to specifically do very weird things for the show. So they have like their usual things, and then just suddenly they have this really fucking abstract episode, all because of one of the Toy Makers Legions. I'm like, thank you, Russell. Thank you.
It just feels like the show is allowing itself to be way more experimental, and I bloody love that.
And I said it in the Clampon chat. There's a clear reason why we're seeing all this, and we're seeing the show be so proud of uh, of its roots and proud of being part of the queer community and such, uh, and the trans community and all that. BBC, the Tories shot themselves in the foot, the little snivelling cunts. They were like, you know what, we're going to cancel the license fee. That the license fee is basically like a tax you pay towards the BBC. It's not mandatory, but it just acts as a tax.
Despite what people say.
Yeah, it's not mandatory. You pay for it, you get access to the BBC services. You can pretend you've paid for it, and you might get a knock on your door or a letter, but they can't do much more. They're not like police.
I wish people would
Now,
arrest you for not paying for the BBC. Like, get them, knock on your door, and you're arrested. Evil.
so the Tory government has the plans to cancel the license fee, which means it's not being publicly funded, which is a huge blow. Which means the BBC has to look at other sources of revenue. What's the biggest draw of revenue for the BBC? Doctor Who. What does that mean? Shit. We need to go all in on the show now.
Mm.
We kind of had to. I don't think Doctor Who was ever dying. And I think people have got a misconception of this. I think the actual reason is BBC was losing its license fee. That's why they're investing in the show. That's why they're bringing in Russell T Davies. They
That's why
need to
did
show
the deal with Disney.
Disney, Bad Wolf. They need the show to bring in record investments and go on for the long term. Should the Tories potentially win the next election? Spoiler, they won't.
They won't, yeah.
Yeah, they won't. But there was a chance at the time that they were going to. Now, because of this, Doctor Who's expanding again. It's becoming a Who-niverse now. It's a coin term. It's becoming more proud of what it is. It isn't hiding away, and it isn't given in to the right wing masses, the far right, which is what the Tory party is currently. It's a far right party, and it doesn't need to give in to that anymore to get money. So now it can take off the shackles and be like, "Fuck you. We're proud of the LGBT plus community, and we will speak for it." Russell T Davies,
Well, Russell T.
iconic
Davies
gay
is one
writer,
of the loudest queer
exactly.
voices in terms of like just writing. He's always been making stories about queerness, and it's great to see him back in Doctor Who.
We got Russell T Davies, Beauty Gatwa, Yasmin Finney, because Yasmin Finney's going to be in the future.
Yeah, he said
At
she's
some
gonna be
point.
back just
Yes,
because he likes
she
working
is
with her
so
so
going to be
much.
back, and I so want her to be a companion to Shooty, because that'll be a dream TARDIS team, just them together.
I don't know if it
And then we
might
got-
undercut a bit the idea with the
14th.
14th Doctor. I don't know. With just like
Um,
putting her into danger again after all this. But it's obviously up to, wouldn't take agency away from her character.
It's for RTD to figure out, and I expect
I'm
them to like age her up a bit. So
Yeah,
that
I
she isn't
also
15.
expect RTD to do it well, regardless. So
Um,
I'm glad everyone's come back saying that the Goblin Song is a banger. It is.
you got Ruth Madeley, and then you got the production cast being so diverse with all kinds of people. You got the podcast that features a trans person. I don't what 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 sexuality is can't remember her name. The one
Crystal Lee.
I think that's her. The one with the short hair.
I don't know what her sexuality is.
I know she's queer in some form. Because it's on her bio, and I just can't remember it. It's just shackles off. Fuck it. Fuck you, Tories. We're doing this shit. And then we get shit like the Goblin song. The fucking banging it's the Goblin song about killing babies. And we do it in the camp way with these fucking goblins. And we got shooting out right there. It's like, yes, this is what the show is.
Yes, the
This is
show is
quintessential
eating
Doctor Who.
babies. I'm glad we agreed, Jeff.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
the
just
show
love-
is a goblin singing about baby scones with baby bones.
Yeah.
Doctor Who is a fucking bizarre show, and it wears its heart on its sleeve. This is the show, and no show could ever come quite like it, like ever. Just yes, the Goblin was just incredible. I was like when I had the preview, I was like, oh, don't be another generic thing, and then it began. And it's just like a baby on a conveyor belt, and they're singing about seasoning the baby, and I'm like, oh, thank God. Thank God.
Thank God they're eating babies. Jeff, I think you're gonna want to read what Priceless Edit said.
What, Shirley being in a wheelchair and the TARDIS getting a ramp. That comment, or
That warms my heart to read. That's honestly
Yes.
awesome.
yes. Disabled people get a win. Again, I can move, I can walk, but I'm hard of hearing. I was blind at one point as well. My mum's very disabled. She's got like 10 disabilities. She can walk barely, but so disabled people. And before this job, I worked for a charity for people with disabilities, so people with wheelchairs, autism, you name it, depression and such as well. And I was teaching them skills to get them into work and promoting workplaces to have better environments, to be more inclusive. So to see that, which is incredible, and to add the cherry on top, for it to be because of a disabled fan in a wheelchair. The name is Taris. If people don't know who they are, check them out. Good YouTuber. Because of their comments, and RTD took it on board. The production team took it on board and went, you know what? There needs to be a ramp. It needs to change.
Yeah.
To see them listen to fans as well, it's just perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely perfect. And
like
The
it's
new
also
companion's name is Ruby Sunday.
yes,
like I was gonna say, like, don't think you mentioned it, but like one of my mutuals, Jessica, like she's like very, I guess, like one of the figureheads, one of the trans figureheads on someone that works with Russell and actually sent him her comments, and she went, "Oh, lovely, oh, lovely." He's taken on trans comments as well from
Tin, you're cutting out a lot.
Yeah, you are.
He's listening to the audience he's representing. Oh,
Yeah, wasn't it Benjamin Cook who passed the comment?
yeah, that's him. He was one of the. He's one of the people who did the Writer's Tale. Him.
Yes, yeah.
TC, the actress's name is Millie Gibson.
Yeah, just the inclusivity, because Doctor Who as well. It has it oddly for a show that's very inclusive. It hasn't been that inclusive. It has like these landmark moments, like for LGBT plus and disabled. Like for example,
And you go. I was just.
I was gonna say for deaf people, the before the flood under the lake, with the deaf character that uses vibration, sign language, and such as a form of inclusivity. It's to see it now being a common theme and being continuous rather than here's a one-off episode where this person's trans or gay or black or disabled. No, it's a continuous thing now. That is excellent to see.
Even then, trans wasn't actually that common. Like,
Yeah.
In 2005, like Cassandra was trans. Like, she used to be a boy, and even then, she's a villain. So, and then after that, there was the trans horse in Town Called Mercy, where it's like he's called Susan and he wants your choices. which is
Oh yeah, that was so weird. Like,
and then in Sleep No More there was one of the guards was played by a trans actor, but all she said was like, grumble, grumble, that sort of thing. And it's like, ugh.
The way so this
grumble,
crap,
grumble.
it's amazing to thank you.
Uh, to be honest, Tim, it's an achievement that like you remembered Sleep No More because I cannot remember a thing from that episode at
No,
all.
I can remember it, but I can only remember that bit. I know I
You
saw a
can
few
only
video
remember
essays on
the
it.
grumble grumble uh
There is a weird trans comment in Torture Series 1, you're right. Torchwood
Yeah,
is
well,
very
Captain Jack says
insensitive.
like he says he distrusts people because someone came out as trans and he was like, "Oh, we have to call them this now," and that's why I don't trust people. You're from the future. You're literally pansexual. How the hell is this one I trust?
Yeah, I was like, what are you doing, Torture? Torture's just a weird show. It could be quite bigoted. Also, Price's edits. Yeah, like, I can't believe how many people misunderstand that aspect as well. Like, to assume that people with wheelchairs could never, like, use their legs in any form,
Yeah, I
even
mean, I
like
was
with
talking
like a
to
cane
Jeb
or something.
about it, how it's so common for people to assume that if someone says they have a disability, you just assume they're like fully like that disability. Like with Jeb, once I learned that Jeb was deaf, I was like, wait, is he? That what does that mean? He's deaf. We were planning to do a Discord call to talk about. I think it was Agents of Shield. I was like, what? How's that gonna
Yeah.
happen? And then Jeb was like, oh, I'm partly deaf. I was like, obviously. Why didn't I think of that? Like it's just the kind of thing that like society doesn't understand, and it was just like such a moment where I'm like, that's so dumb. Why was I that dumb? And just like people are like that. They all have like their biases in terms of disabled people, and RTD expressed that in a way that I thought was very clever.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know the actual accurate term for full deafness is stone deaf. My mum was stone. See, my mum's got so many disabilities. You know, she was stone deaf when she was a toddler, and she had to have surgery to get her hearing, and then she got 10 other disabilities. You might as well put her down. You know,
Jeff,
you,
Jesus Christ. There's a disabled person
I,
watching, and then you say this shit. They're not used to it, to you doing this stuff.
on that note, my food's ready, so I'm gonna let you sit with that as I be like 20 seconds.
Alright.
You just gonna drop a bomb and then bounce.
Couldn't even tell Donna's daughter was trans till people online complain. I mean, it's the kind of thing. Trans women are just women. You cannot tell the difference. That's just a lie the turfs tell. And it's just stupid to say that. But I really like that her being trans was actually part of her character, not just like, oh, it's an actor that's trans playing this character, as we said in like Sleep No More or whatever. Like it's
Yeah,
actually an
like
actress being trans, playing a trans character, and being trans is actually explored
it's
in the episode.
like that character I mentioned that did just go, grumble grumble, but that was a cis character, like, and like she was playing like a mindless cis character that was just really strong and angry and not exactly the best place okay, not to say trans people can't play roles like that, like in terms of the first major like step of like having a trans actor on the show, having that be your role is just it's a bit iffy.
Yeah.
But like here, where it's like it's a fully trans story. It has a trans actress. It has a full on message of protect trans kids,
Yeah.
and it
And
even
it even explores the idea of, you know, how trans people kind of see beyond what society views as the binary, and that's part of what the resolution of the episode is about, which I find just really special, especially because the doctor themselves is gender fluid, and
yeah
they actually lean into it in this episode.
like the comment that's like a really beautiful way of summing up is like the doctor is male and female either. Like that's a beautiful way of just summing up the doctor's gender.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, we knew that she was trans from the get go, but I can tell from chat that there are a lot of people who assume she was just cis, which is just like, Yeah, that's how trans people are until you realize they're trans, and then people are like, "That's bad," because yeah. And thankfully, RTD is like, "Fuck you if you think that's bad," and Donna being so mad at the trans folks was great.
Princess Aids, I know you mean well, but Yasmin was a girl and never questioned they were trans.
Yeah, she's a girl. The term you need
She
to
is a
use is
she is
cis.
a. It's just I know you mean well, and probably just misspoke, but just you know what I mean. It's just maybe word yourself a bit better next time.
Yeah, no worries. It happens. But yeah, I like
No
Yasmin,
more.
Finny, and Rose. I'm really
Hello.
excited to see what they're gonna do with her, bringing her back. I think it's gonna be really interesting because I think we've already gotten so much from her character about like who she is that I find so interesting, and with just like one episode basically, and the like that one scene basically from the giggle, having her like have more time to explore her character is gonna be really interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, I can, I can
Plus,
see
it'd be
people.
like a neat sort of like parallel to what happened with Donna, where she was a one-off episode companion, fully joins the TARDIS, like like mother like daughter, like a neat little.
uh,
I can see people reacted uh, to my mum comment.
they did. They all loved it.
Um, it's okay. She says the same.
Yeah, she also said she should be put down, so it's okay.
Yeah,
Um,
I just agree with her point. That's all.
yeah, she says she deserves to die, and I don't disagree with her. So it's like, what's the problem? Am I right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I believe in assisted suicide.
um. Anyway, what were we talking about? I kind of lost the plot. I was looking at my
Um,
cat.
um,
Oh yeah,
chasing.
Rose. Yeah, that I like. That
Yeah,
Rose is gonna be back. I
yeah,
I don't know. I think it could be really interesting to see her perspective on stuff with being Donna's daughter in terms of like traveling with the doctor and having like I guess the knowledge um of like what's happened to her mom and her being aware of all the dangers and her wanting to do it. I think it also comes with like her age of just wanting to like go into adventures if she does become like a companion rather than understanding the perils of doing that. I just find it, I don't know, I think you need a good justification for Donna to let her go, I guess, to be like let herself get into all that danger. Other but I mean the one thing that comes to mind is just like Rose asserting her own like independence, like this is my choice, and if I can help people doing it, then I should, and that kind of stuff, which feels very much in character, not only for Rose, but also for Donna to like allow that because that makes a lot of sense for Donna's character.
It's
yeah.
also worth noting. Donna does say until the regeneration effects
She
ease
says
off.
until the doctor feels better, then you can go on the
Yeah,
TARDIS and that, like that sort of
yeah.
thing.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
Which
she
I'm
did
guessing
say that. Yeah.
Which I'm guessing she expects like 15 to show up and ask at some point, or maybe something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's bound to happen at some point at least.
I mean, yeah, I would imagine that 15 would visit Donna, considering she actually got a happy ending that doesn't require, you know, her to lose her memories and him to never visit. Like he can actually visit and see her, and she's not like outside of time. Like like a bunch of the other issues the other companions had. Donna actually got an ending where the Doctor can visit her again. So I would expect 15 to come and visit at some point, and that's how we introduce Rose again. Or we just
Yeah,
have like a partners in crime type thing where Rose is just investigating some shit and bumped into the doctor. I would love that if they redid the partners in crime shit. I think that would be hilarious. Did that with Rose and 15 instead of Donna and 10.
That'd be neat. Maybe like in like a series. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, do we have anything more to say? We've just rambled for the last like half an hour after we talked about the giggle.
um, Um,
Um,
um,
um,
could
um,
you roll?
grumble, grumble,
um, um, what I really hope, at least for the new era as well, is iconic new villains. Because like Kindle felt very bad to this, where it's just returning villains all the time. I want iconic new ones that could then be used in the future. Because we can't just rely on Daleks, Cybermen, Weeping Angels type deal. We need another like Weeping Angel type thing that's iconic for the future. Because otherwise it can get stale.
I imagine we'll get that at some point. We already have the North, which is a pretty good establishment of, that they can still make some great original,
yeah.
like something really iconic, like empty Round Brigade is still very iconic.
Then you keep cutting out.
No,
Yeah.
I don't know if your
No
noise
idea
gate
what-
on Discord is just really high or whatever.
I'm not sure what's happened.
My PFP is from the Goblin. Well, no, it's not from the Goblin song. It's from the promo images of the Christmas special, which was before the Goblin song.
Yeah, but it is it's the goblins from the Goblin song that will be in the episode, but it's not from the song itself, from before the song
Yeah.
is released.
I do love the Harry Potter line. Like, yeah, we'll murder Harry Potter.
Well, it's more so that they'll murder orphans with jet black hair, which is can be seen as a nice dig to Harry, because Harry Potter also infamously sort of played into the anti-Semitic side of Goblin.
Yeah, and this is just
It's just-
entirely not that.
And straight after they reference Pennywise, so I'm certain it's a reference to Harry Potter.
Yeah. Also, yeah, the Christmas special is coming out on Christmas Day at 7:55. 7? No, hold on.
I think it's 6:55.
6. No, it's before 6:55. It's I'm trying to do math in my head. Okay, it is at 5:55 p.m. British time. That's it. I remember because it is. Yeah, see, Colin confirmed it. I remember because in my time it's 2:55. And it's 3 hours before. So yeah, I'm not gonna be able to watch it when it comes out though, because I'm gonna be at a Christmas lunch with my family. Like fuck my family. I want to watch Doctor Who.
I'm going to my parents, and my dad is my Doctor Who Chad. He got me into the show, so we're watching that.
Either chat or Tim will post it on Twitter. I don't need the exact time frame, but I gave it to you anyway, TC. Just turn on Disney Plus and watch it when it comes out at 5:55 p.m.
Yeah, it's coming out at the exact same time.
Yeah,
Like the
like the
special.
specials, which was great. It's very, very good that happened because I was able to watch it at the same time that these people were watching. These British people. Ugh.
Yeah, we get the luxury where Doctor Who's a British show. It's our show.
Yes.
In this that North Macedonia celebrates Christmas after New Year's. Interesting.
That is interesting. Never
I
heard of
think
that. I thought every country did it and at the same day, but
we're fucking genociding your piece of shit country.
Jesus Christ, Joe.
I've had enough of North Macedonia. You've been
Yeah,
pissing me off too long, and now this.
I much prefer South Macedonia.
Yeah. The only good thing about Macedonia is Alexander the Great, and I made a song about Alexander the Great. So that's the only contribution worthwhile.
Right, so with Jab's racism, I think it's time for us to end the stream. I think we've gotten through everything.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Oh, thanks for the compliment. I do hope you enjoy our content, Priceless Edits. And yeah, it was fun having you here in chat, especially talking about the way the show, representing disability was very meant a lot to you, because that was very cool to hear. And yeah, I think that's it.
What's my cat doing? Fucking doing tech.
Stream knows what my cat's doing. Isn't that right, Stream? What did you think of cat cam? That's actually something that I wanted to ask. Do you want the cat cam to continue? Seeing my cat sleep during every stream? I assume it's a yes, but you know. Maybe there are people who dislike cats. Iconic, thank you. My cat is very iconic. Cat cam is the best part of the stream. Okay, so we're gonna keep cat cam. That's good to know.
I would try it with my 3 cats, but they can't stay in the same position for more than 10 minutes. That's proven by this one right now.
Oh yeah, and also I don't know how you would stream your cat cam to Mija, but we could figure it out at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Since he stopped staring at me like that.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks everyone for watching. It has been fun. We enjoy Doctor Who now again, which is also cool. And also, I don't know. I was gonna say something and I forgot. Tin, say something.
Something in the way. Play
Ooh.
Arkham Knight. They just released a new update.
Ooh, yeah, that is actually something. Yeah, go play Arkham Knight. I need to download it. I forgot to download it yesterday. So yeah, play Arkham Knight. That's the bottom line of this stream. I'm glad we got here. All right, see ya, Goatface and stuff.
Bye bye. Goldfish.